Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 63 of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who are the stars with me tonight?
Resident Stefan JD 3.
Evil Stuart Hughes. Nemesis.
Biohazardous Jesse Chavez right here.
It's just a good one.
Painful. That hurt to do that. I'm kind of sick, and then I went and made my voice really. That was not a good idea.
Yeah, we should probably mention that ahead of time because I might sound a little sick, but I've just got a bad cough. We're fine. We're okay.
Oh, luckily, nothing's getting transferred via, microphone. So I think people.
I've just got it. Well, I've got allergies,
and I feel really super relieved right now. For people that don't know, I just want to say this: I really had to go to the bathroom before the show, and my roommate went to the bathroom. She's like, "No, I'm taking my time." I'm like, "All right," and I felt like Bill O'Reilly. I was like, "Fuck it, we'll do it live." Fuck it. Whatever teleprompter says, it's wrong.
Well, let me just personally say thank you for not recording from the bathroom. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I appreciate it too.
A terrible echo with your roommate yelling at you in the background. The fuck are you doing? A podcast.
Payback's a bitch.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
I think I should introduce, because this was actually my pick. I shouldn't say, it was my pick, but it wasn't because I wanted to play it exactly. It was because Resident Evil 3 Remake is coming out in about a little over a week at this point.
11 days.
11 days as of this recording. I figured it'd be perfect, to get that out there while people are, excited for that remake, that hopefully you have it digitally, otherwise you might not be getting it. So, but I think it's time. So we are going to be talking about Resident Evil 3 Nemesis for PlayStation 1.
We picked this game some time ago. It's worth nothing.
A long time ago.
We just happen to, every now and then we'll pick a game and it'll just happen to fall in a really unfortunate or sometimes fortunate, topical event that's not planned.
Yeah, we'll get into that, I'm sure.
Very few episodes have been changed to topical events. Very, very few.
Oh, this came out in 1999. So I couldn't remember what it was, and I did not have it pulled up.
Yep.
So, speaking of 1999, let's take a little bit of a history lesson here. So let's wind back an extra year. It's 1998. You're Capcom. You just turned one of your most disastrous game productions into the game of the year, pretty much. Not only did you capture the success of the previous game, you fucking exploded it into a whole new stratosphere. What's the first thing you do? I'll tell you, you do what Capcom does best. You port it to every fucking system you can possibly imagine. I'm talking Resident Evil 2 on N64, later down the line, Dreamcast, and even Game.com, which was such a terrible port, they didn't even finish it. But, it just explodes, and it does well. Even the N64 port with its, crippled graphics and, inferior sound still outsold. I'm gonna talk my shit, Stefan. Leave me alone.
Hey, you invited him on this one, so
that was the one I grew up with. Okay, be gentle. The safe words, Jack Nicholson.
Hey, stop stealing my safe words. Anyway,
we have to treat Stefan like a N64 game, in that if we touch it in any way, it will stop working.
I'm not blowing it. That's all I'm telling you. But
I'm very boxy.
Right. So then, they have all this explosion success. They're not going to sit on it. They're going to, amplify it. So they get the ball rolling on Resident Evil 0 on the N64 initially. They have a side project set aside on PS1, and then they get to work on the true Resident Evil 3. And I'm talking putting it on next-gen hardware, dynamic, backgrounds. I'm talking, full 3D environments, and following up right where Claire left off in her never-ending quest to find her brother. Now, before anyone says something sounds wrong here, I know, and Sony would agree, they come rolling up on Capcom's door, knocking hey, so contractually, you're supposed to give us a third entry, and all that stuff you want to do, you can't really do on a PS1. And Capcom's like, yeah, we know, we're doing it on this revolutionary tech. It's the Sega Dreamcast. And they're like, yeah, that's great, but you owe us a numbered title, motherfucker. And Capcom was like, fuck, you're right. So they did what, a panicked teenager in a high school assignment would do. They decided, all right, cool. Well, then we're just going to make this new next-gen Resident Evil that we're planning a spin-off title, change it to Code Veronica. And okay, we have this project on the PS1. It's some random schmo trying to get out of Racoon City before it gets blown to hell. Take him out, throw in Resident Evil's leading lady, Jill Valentine. Great. Give her 50% less clothing. Double great. Let's make a tyrant that's bigger, badder, stronger, more tentacles. And bing, bang, boom, we have Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. And that's what brings us here today.
Okay, I didn't know that this. I mean, I knew this game wasn't supposed to be the real 3, but I didn't know it was supposed to be someone not Jill in this game originally.
Oh, no, yeah. Originally, it was just a regular Joe Schmo, and it was called Resident Evil 1.9, because for some reason, Capcom thought the destruction of Raccoon City wasn't worthy of being an actual numbered title.
Yeah, that's pretty funny to think that, like, the next numbered title would be to take place in, like, completely some other area. And Raccoon City being destroyed would be, like, a background information, like, Raccoon City is gone.
Pretty much, you know, but yeah, like, well, I don't think they ever mention it in Code Veronica like it was destroyed. They're just like, Raccoon City, overrun by zombies. Anyway, Claire is in Paris. Check out as we rip off Terminator 2.
I'm sure they mentioned it. I can't remember because it's been a long time, but I can't see they wouldn't have. I mean, hell, every Resident Evil game. Hell, Resident Evil 4 starts out with telling you about Raccoon City. They love telling you about Raccoon City.
I'd actually like to stop right here and bring up, I had a moment of vindication when I first started playing this game because it's not Raccoon City, according to Jill. What is it? It's Raccoon City.
Oh.
I am vindicated. There's a canon character that says it like I say it, Raccoon.
Okay. Listen, Stu, once the wheels of justice start turning.
I started playing this game like a couple days ago, and the fucking game starts with Jill Valentine going, Raccoon City. I'm like, what? And I turned off the fucking game and restarted so I could hear that line again. Raccoon City.
I'm gonna shoot your defense down and claim that that's mostly because we have an all Canadian cast here.
Every single character and a canon main title saying
she
Raccoon.
never
I'll take
says
it.
it in a later entry. All right.
I just hope that I watched some of the gameplay of RE3. Stefan actually played it, but I can't remember anybody saying Raccoon City or Raccoon City, so I just hope it's not fixed.
Yeah, I don't think it's mentioned outside of like one of those opening dialogues, you know, like Raccoon City, outside murders, blah blah blah.
I hope they keep it just so that. And I'm also curious if this is where I picked it up from, because I thought I picked it up from like the Eastern Shore, but I wonder if I picked it up from RE3.
Oh, very likely.
The questions that we ask.
But I am vindicated. It's Raccoon.
Fun fact about the voice cast, though. I know at least in the case of Jill, her voice actress for this one was Catherine Disher, who I think was the voice actress for Jean Grey in the X-Men animated series. Because it all kind of connects with Capcom doing their Capcom versus Marvels. They're literally like, hey, Marvel voice actors, like, be our Resident Evil characters.
I have no idea. Only we had the internet in front of our faces.
I'm looking it up. She's probably best known for her role in the Good Witch TV series. I doubt that. Not in this podcast.
There's another one she was in. Love Bites or Vampire Cop. It was a vampire cop show. I just know that. And then she was also in like an episode of Goosebumps.
That sounds both awesome and terrible. Oh my God. And the first ever role she was in, The Vindicator. Thank you, Catherine.
What was The Vindicator?
I don't know, but I'm vindicated,
okay.
so.
Oh God. Okay. So like I had always been meaning to play this game for years, and I was never going to make myself do it because I don't like these games.
She was finished. She was also the Dazzler.
I like Dazzler.
Oh, she was also Elizabeth and in Sailor Moon.
Oh,
I don't know who Elizabeth is in Sailor Moon.
Fighting Nemesis by daylight.
Okay, that was kind of
Slashing Carlos by daylight. Sorry.
But I mean, like one thing about this game that I
is the one
say...
called Valentine.
Sorry, you're saying, Mike?
It starts off like right away, kind of like how Resident Evil 2, right in the fray. Like all of a sudden, she's in a building. They show a little scene where she's sitting in a hotel room or her room, I don't know, and the wall bursts open and fire. And there's zombies coming at her. There's zombies behind you. Like, I thought that was a very cool, just like how Resident Evil 2 is, throw you right into the fray of all the hell that's going on.
Well, you're jumping ahead a little bit. It's because this whole setup here, the reason why Yeah, the reason why she's on the run
Sorry.
is because the city has officially now been taken over by zombies, and they are everywhere. In the opening cutscene, it shows the RPD, Racoon Police Department.
Thank you.
God damn it.
They basically line up and they're trying to mow them all down in the streets, and it doesn't work out. And Umbrella sends in these mercenaries to try and also get survivors out and quell the spread of the virus, but that doesn't work out either.
Well, it's important.
Maybe if they just threw toilet paper at the zombies, it would stop the problem. That's what I heard works.
You'd have to have a bathroom first, though. That's the thing.
Just about to say, it's important when there's a zombie virus outbreak. The social distancing is very important.
Very.
As far away from the zombie as possible.
Be like Jill. Stay in your apartment.
Yeah, but this is like, to give people context, this is post RE2 or pre RE2, post like what'd you say, like 2 weeks after the first game?
Pre and post RE2, and like 3 months I think after the first game.
So
July, August, September. So yeah, roughly.
So Chris is gone at this point. Off and hunting down.
Stars have been fired.
All the stars have been fired, pretty much. Yeah, they're all. Was Brad Riggers fired, or is he just kind of like around?
See, here's my and disclaimer: this is kind of headcanon. I've never gotten a confirmation on this, but he's kind of a kiss ass. So I imagine he actually got to stay around in some capacity at the RPD for a while, kind of like a survival thing.
After the only 4 survivors, after Barry left, Chris left, and Jill like unofficially retired.
Well, I mean, only essential businesses need to stay open, and a lot of people got laid off.
I don't know the RPG.
Stars were essential, but no, it was bad. Essentially, Chief Irons, because as we learn in RE2, he's dirty. He essentially not only disbanded them, but disgraced them too, because he was like, "Nope, I'm firing all of you, and consider yourself lucky there aren't charges being brought against you because I strongly suspect you killed your superiors to get promotions."
Yeah. Which, as we all know, is great. Just A+ strategy. Like, if you're out in a job if you're a SWAT officer and you leave and you kill your captain and like 12 of your other compatriots, you're automatically getting promoted. That's just how that works.
Oh yeah.
As we all know, Chief Irons didn't quite think normally. He did like. Didn't he want to have sex with like a tiger or something? You can find a note where he's talking about a tiger, and it's like.
In the remake, there's a note he mentions where he slices open a tiger's belly and he turns him on so much. He's like, I almost came just at that doing that. I'm like, oh.
Well, and I should I should warn, there will be spoilers for Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3. You've been warned. I should say.
Yeah.
Even though it's a 20-year-old game, still.
If you're okay.
I was just gonna say, if you haven't played this game in the 21 years it's been out, or almost 20, or at least 20 plus years, and you don't want to spoil yourself from the remake, yes, we will talk character deaths.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're gonna go into. I assume the remake is like the exact same story, just like RE2 was.
So. Yeah, I mean, Brad is kind of a plot hole in the characters because he shows up in RE2, but like he shouldn't. He should be dead.
Yeah, they might fix that then.
Yeah. No. His appearance in the original trilogy as a zombie still makes sense because his body disappears after he gets murdered by Nemesis. You come back out and he's gone. So
I know, but he shot his like tentacle right through his brain. So
yeah.
It's
I guess you could argue he was like a special Nemesis zombie as opposed to the other zombies or something. I don't know.
He was stronger than the normal one.
Yeah, he's hard to kill him too. I didn't fight him, but I remember reading that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, pretty quickly upon getting into this game, I like how like it just throws you right into the mix. This game doesn't fuck around really. It's okay, you know what zombies are, you fought them twice before. Welcome to the fucking city. As soon as you walk in, it's just zombies are everywhere and you've got to get the hell out of the streets.
Yeah, I had a rough time in that little first area. I got bit like 2 or 3 times. Stefan making fun of me. I told him this when I was just trying to cross the one zombie. I didn't want to waste my ammo because I heard that as soon as you go over this brick, this whatever the hell it is, you get healed. So there's no point in wasting ammo. Yeah. I didn't care, but I'm like, you fucking zombie! Like I got this. He just kept biting me.
It's just something that you would do, Mike. That's why I find it funny because you would just get bitten by the first zombie, of course.
I love how jarring the opening is. It's almost like they just have a moment. She just explodes the door, just like see that chick in the tube top. Yeah, that's me. Let me tell you my story.
I bet you're wondering how I got here. It's playing like Bob O'Reilly in the background.
Oh, can we stop for a second?
It starts off. What's up?
I was gonna say, can we stop for a second and just talk about how fucking impractical Jill's clothing is in this entry?
Sure, go ahead. I mean, I like it, but yeah, it's completely stupid.
Like it. It's not zombie fighting here.
Tube top, short skirt, short-ish skirt,
like leather mini skirt.
It's almost like I almost kind of wish they hadn't have had it written into the plot that she was fired, and it was literally like, no, I was actually undercover for a prostitution sting, and then everything just kind of went to hell. But here I am.
If anyone wants to see a good representation of what it looks like, the second Resident Evil movie, Apocalypse, I think. Actually,
the movie.
Yeah, it's it's all right. It's certainly not as bad as the later movies.
No,
no. Jill, I'll give that's the only plus the movie has.
It literally, okay, look here. It goes to hell the moment Mila Jovovich, Alice, crashes through that window in the church. You get 25 minutes of a good Resident Evil movie right up until that moment.
I agree.
No. It really goes to hell.
Those movies.
It really goes to hell in the cafeteria explosion scene when like Jill's like, yeah, I'm gonna save the day, and then everything falls to shit, and I was like, I'll save the day, and it's just like, oh fuck.
Is that when
someday
explosion?
We're gonna talk about those movies.
She puts on like a blanket, like a quote unquote heat resistant blanket that saves them from an explosion going off.
Not how that works, I don't think.
No, the concussive blast would kill you, and also those blankets are meant for like light heat, not like the air burning because of a fucking like nitrous explosion going off right next to you.
Mm-hmm.
There was no reason for Jill to hand the kid off to her, and but anyway, no, we're not going to go down that road.
No, not now. I want to
spoilers for the Apocalypse movie, but yeah, the outfits in that are actually pretty good for what they are. Like the costume design is great, and they copied Jill Valentine's outfit. And I was to a T, to the point that I was like, I thought they would change how ridiculous that was, but they decided to hang on to it. I'm kind of glad that they
even made a justification for it because they wrote into the script that there's a heat wave in Racoon City.
Yeah.
But again, not going to go
like undercover at the time because she brings somebody into the precinct and like is handcuffing them.
No, she doesn't bring anyone. She's coming in from a night out. She takes off her high heels and then she hears on the radio. But anyway, back to the game costume. A nice little costume note on top of that is it keeps up with Jill's motif of wearing blue because she wore blue in the original and she's got a blue tube top in this one.
Everybody in Resident Evil is color coded. Rebecca is like green.
Chris is also green.
Chris is like green, and he's like a darker green. Sherry is always like pink, no matter what.
No, I think hers is white and blue.
White and blue? I would say white and pink. Definitely white is the main thing. Yeah. Sherry is red. Everybody has their color.
Yeah, Ada's magenta.
I mean, with the PS1 graphic, you can't really see her outfit too well, but when they have the cutscene, then you can really see how stupid it looks. I mean, I love it, but it just looks so stupid. Why you do it?
Sherry?
No.
Oh,
no.
Joe.
I'm so glad they changed it for the remake, and I like it. But I liked it.
do too.
I liked it a couple years ago when it was the new Tomb Raider outfit. It's the same fucking outfit. And I guess that's the look now.
Not many options they could go for, but I'm just hoping they have a little more restraint with the fan service this time around because it gets ridiculous in this game. We got Jill going in slow motion down here, running. We have full shots of her ass during cut scenes. I'm surprised they didn't have a scene when Nemesis smashed the fire hydrant and just didn't have like a direct stream of water hitting her chest and just like, oh no,
oh Lord.
Well, I noticed that they did because if you pre-order the game, the remake, you get the original costume, but I noticed that the skirt is actually one of those skirts that's just shorts, but it looks like a skirt.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So they kind of fixed it a little bit.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Or
she had boots on. Boots make sense. What
if she was wearing does anyone know what culottes are? Or she's just wearing culottes, really ugly 90s culottes?
I just want Jill to rob a thrift store, just like, all right, I need to find better clothes, and just comes out in a mismatched fucking nightmare. But she's like, you know what? I'm comfortable.
Okay, so question.
She just comes
Yeah,
out like she points her gun at a zombie. What year is it?
So this game takes place, you were saying, like, what, a day before Resident Evil 2 starts? In the beginning of this?
It's a sandwich, essentially. So the first half of the game, right up until you get to the clock tower and get knocked out, is the day before Resident Evil. And then when Jill wakes up from her virus coma, it's the day after Resident Evil 2.
Yeah. Oh, so... Okay, so I mean, in the beginning, one thing we hadn't mentioned yet that we should is that Umbrella is, you think, trying to help Racoon City. They know about the infection, and they sent in all these mercenaries that you see in the opening cutscene.
They're not.
I know.
They're not really trying to help. What happens is they're sending in these mercenaries with these directors, I think they're called, like Nikolai. Managers, yeah, and they're just there to send the mercenaries in to fight so that they can collect battle data and get bonuses and basically make sure they die.
But it's a great introduction scene with Carlos when he shows up pretty quick. You have the opening scene. You're going in, you escape, you get kind of knocked out, and I can't remember the guy's name. Dario Rosso.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, I'm getting out of here. You should get out of here too." And then like immediately locks himself up in a crate, and that's the end of his role in the game.
Just leave me alone.
Who was he?
Yeah, he's a failed writer, and he's like super distraught at the beginning of the game because apparently he just witnessed his daughter getting eaten by zombies.
It's super dark. It's like, I mean, it's Resident Evil. People are dying, but they're like. There's a way to do like cheesy dark, and this game just goes full dark of like him immediately being like, I just watched my daughter die.
Oh, you think that's... I have a question, Stu. Did you ever come back to the warehouse when you had to gather items and stuff to start the trolley?
Can't you find him like having committed suicide?
No, not that. But like you come back and he's being eaten by zombies because eventually he decided to brave it and step out of the container, and he got overwhelmed.
I mean, either way, he was gonna get wiped out.
Yeah,
there was no good ending for him in this situation.
Nobody survives Racoon City except for potentially Lisa Traver and my fucking Resident Evil 8 idea, Capcom.
Oh God, better than the leaks I've heard. But anyway,
not letting it die. I want my idea to be made into a game one day. But yeah, so like immediately you get out. After that, you run into Brad Vickers, who immediately gets his fucking head basically not chopped off. He gets a fucking tentacle through his face.
Because of Japan.
Can I also say how stupid it is? He knows. He warns Jill. He's like, there's something that's out there for STARS members. And it's like, well, then why the fuck are you in your uniform, dipshit? You're advertising you're in STARS.
I don't think it matters.
Also, are you still registered? Is that why you still collecting your fucking check, Brad? Like,
come on, fucking Brad. Scab.
I think that was just as a, like, as Capcom saying, like, everyone hates Brad, right? Let's fucking kill him. Like, Brad's a piece of shit because everybody hates Brad. Brad's just like a Weasley, like, what? He's just a Weasley loser.
Good old
those that don't know, figures. He's the one that abandoned you in the first game. Which you want to hear all about it? We have an episode earlier in this show.
Yeah, we do. It's just skipped to 2 hours in so we can start talking about Resident Evil 1 for that episode.
It's 45 minutes in.
It's a long time of us just talking about the background lore, which is probably going to happen here too a little bit, but we're jumping into it. But then you run into Carlos, and I love how they he's wearing the umbrella outfit. It's like immediate. You're like, who the fuck are you? Like you're Umbrella. I don't trust you. And he has a really bad South American accent. I think is what they're going
that he loses halfway through the game.
Yeah, and he doesn't get it back ever in any ever again, even in the remake. It's just gone.
All the foxy ladies love my accent. Shut the fuck up. People are dying.
Yeah. Carlos is so different, and I mean, assuming I've watched like gameplay, like I said. Haven't played the demo myself, but I've looked at gameplay. I've looked at like Carlos's new character. Seems like they've just abandoned that whole like persona entirely, which I am so
glad. I am so glad because I can not tell you how much they try forcing a romance in this game, and it just doesn't work.
No. But I'm glad. Like, I'm kind of glad that it doesn't happen. Like, I'm fine with like cheesy romance in games and stuff, but it's always nice when it's like a game doesn't do that.
I'm going to lay it out for the kids here, and I'm just going to say, at best, the most he could hope for is a holy shit, we almost died, like, fuck, once they got out of the city. That's as
it'd be
good
like
as it's going to get.
It would be like a kiss on the cheek and be like, all right, see ya. Like, because
Jill's just like, get out of my bed. Get out. You're done.
I mean, he's heroic later, but he's just so shitty. He's like, he might as well come out and be like, ladies love Carlos. I am the sex demon from South America.
Did you guys get the version of the scene at the clock tower where she smacks the shit out of him?
Yeah,
I didn't get that one.
So yeah, if you stay in the trolley when it crashes into the clock tower, like Jill will run into Carlos in the dining room and he'll like be giving up hope. He's like, what guarantee is it they're gonna, where's this even gonna be a helicopter? It's just a piece of paper. And Jill fucking knocks a filling out and she's like, hey, snap the fuck out of it. It's either we try this or we're dead.
Act like you never seen a dead body before.
It doesn't make sense with Carlos's whole like backstory and character too. Which,
well, like the way it works,
character.
Well, because like these mercenaries, like a lot of the UBCS, the Umbrella Bioterrorism Counter Squad, or whatever the fuck they call themselves.
Biohazard Countermeasure Service.
Yeah, there we go.
He knows it.
These guys, they're lance for the slaughter, and like a lot of them, like they're just mercenaries, prisoners of war, taken from like around the country, and they think, oh right, Umbrella saved us, but then they find out, oh shit, no, we're in hell, we're in literal hell right now.
Yeah,
they're basically like everybody who works for Big Boss in Metal Gear. They're kidnapped and they're not even like brainwashed. It's just like Umbrella will come in, fuck up an area, and then find a couple kids and be like, hey, you want to work for us? And they're like, sure. I mean, my entire family and tribe is dead, so.
Yeah, I mean, they are kind of brainwashed in thinking that they're actually going in to help people, which isn't the case at all.
Yeah, they lie to.
Yeah, Jesse did bring up the case, though, that in this game, when you, like, jumping out of the trolley, like, you do have instances where you can pick or choose between two different things that you can do in a situation.
Yeah.
And the first one that you run into, the first one you run into is like after Nemesis kills Brad, because it had to happen. Yeah. You get to choose whether you fight the monster or run into the Racoon Police Department. What'd you guys choose? Because I chose to run away. Yeah, this one I chose to run away.
I fought Nemesis, took him out, and I also stole Brad's wallet, because that's the perk of doing that option. If you steal his wallet, you can use his key card instead of going all the way and backtracking for Jill's.
Yeah, it's kind of like a little
speed run. Go in that room anyway. The Star's room where you get her ID.
It's out of the way.
But you still get the Magnum or the grenade launcher. One thing we haven't mentioned yet is this game is full of random shit. Like some of the weapons you get will be in random places. Enemies that will be in one room. Like I had a point where I walked in the room, did something, got fucked up, reloaded my save state, my save, and it was a different enemy in that room when I walked back in. I'm like, okay, this shouldn't be happening when I just hit F3. Nothing should have changed. But that's one thing. I mean, this game has so many random elements built into it.
Yeah, it's
very cool.
It's like in a lot of ways, it's just a upgraded version of 2, which isn't like it's not. I'm not saying that as an insult. Like whereas 2 was kind of like we're gonna rework the Resident Evil formula rather than because the first version of 2 was supposed to take place just in the police station. It was supposed to just be essentially a copy paste of the first game.
Well, no, police station and then factory behind the station, and
like. Just like the first game, which takes place in a mansion, and then also a lab underneath the mansion. But basically, it's all the same area. The second one is going to be police station, and then the Umbrella factory behind it, and the same basic game plot wise. But then they changed it and made it like you're traveling throughout the city. This just kind of does the same thing where you're traveling throughout the city, but more elements are thrown in behind the scenes to make it more interesting.
Yeah, because in 2 they had the Mr. X, and now you have Nemesis, which is basically an upgraded tyrant that is controlled by a parasite, and
who doesn't follow you throughout the game. That's kind of a myth. It gives you the sense that he's following you, but they use some very clever tricks of him just showing up at random times and like from very random locations that always puts you on edge. So I know a lot of people think that he follows you throughout the game, like he's like on your tail, and that's not the case. It's just a lot of clever tricks, but you get the sense that he's right on your tail the whole time. It works.
He always shows up. at different times. I mean, most of it's, I mean, I want to say all of it's scripted because I was, of course, reading a guide as I was playing this, and the guide would tell me, hey, he's going to jump out the window. Hey, he's coming. So it's all like it's all going to happen at the same point. But I mean, if you didn't play this game before, you wouldn't know, or you weren't reading something. You wouldn't be
just like
expecting
sometimes he comes after you.
That's the beauty of this game, though, because there's so many branching pathways. Because I mean, in comparison to Resident Evil 2, you were still pretty much confined to the RPD for a good chunk of the game. You know, their assault on Precinct 13 theme they were going for. This one, you have the whole city at your disposal. And there's different things you can do, like when you're gathering supplies for the trolley. Like if you do things in a different order, like if you decide to meet Carlos at the newspaper office instead of the restaurant, or you decide to go to the substation first, you know, you'll either run into Nemesis at the newspaper office and have to blow him up, or you'll have to dodge Nemesis's rocket launcher as he's sitting on top of a roof firing at you in front of the substation.
The newspaper office is always my favorite, though, because you don't suspect that he'll be there because you go up to the third floor just to get a gem and there's zombies in the room, and then you just leave the room not through a door transition, and he's just there standing in the hallway.
My favorite is really early on. I don't think it might be after the tram Charlie thing, when like it might be right after it collapses and he falls from the sky and just like lands next to you, and it's like, oh shit, he's here, holy shit. Like, he just falls from the top of the screen, and it's like, did he just jump from a building? What the fuck? But you get a sense that he is you. If you have not played this game before, and I can't imagine how stressful the remake is gonna be.
Oh yeah,
thinking like, okay, he could attack me at any time, because you know they did this with the Resident Evil 2 remake. They changed it up enough, and they like moved some shit around. I mean, they have changed the mechanic system entirely, but they also moved some basic shit around to like trick players.
It's kind of weird because Mr. X, while slow, Nemesis is much faster in the remake, but it doesn't make any sense because he's bigger. Bigger means slower, not faster. So the physics of it are off.
It's worked out a lot.
Yeah, it's funny how
my nerd glasses real quick here. Stefan, as you know from the Resident Evil Degeneration movie, the giant tyrants are actually quite quick.
Oh god!
You see, it's because they have more muscle mass, so they would, so they can. Expand. I'm gonna take these glasses off because you're gonna give me a
Degeneration. We just watched Degeneration. That didn't have
Damnation.
tyrants.
Sorry, Damnation.
Okay, I never seen that.
Well,
damn it! To put on his nerd glasses real quick. Stuart, you know that's Damnation, not Degeneration.
So fun fact: the Tyrant and Nemesis were actually developed by rival branches of Umbrella. I believe Nemesis was developed by Umbrella's European HQ, while the Tyrant I think was American. So that's why you have like two different evolutions fighting at the exact same time. And I really wish we were kind of robbed of like seeing an actual fight between Nemesis and a Tyrant in this version. But I guess the closest we'll get is the Nemesis eating a Tyrant corpse at the very end.
Well, that's the thing that I'm like trying to point out too, is that Nemesis is a Tyrant. He's just like think of it as Terminator 1 and 2. He's the upgraded version. He's no longer a robot. Yes. He's like the liquid guy.
In the context of Resident Evil, he's a tyrant who's been infected with the Nemesis.
And that's what Jill gets infected with and would carry with her all the way through to Resident Evil 5.
Yeah, I wonder, they have options to remaking. Like, if they continue remaking this series, I doubt they'll do a remake of soon after this one.
Yeah,
but they kind of have opportunities now if they wanted to like split off and do an entirely different story. I mean, even Resident Evil 7 was like an entirely different story, really. You could argue that like, oh, there was a guy named Redfield in it, but no, like it's basically a whole different thing. They could split off and say like, oh, the Nemesis virus is back, and Resident Evil 8 is going to be like just you and another Nemesis or something. They have a lot of opportunity to change.
I always wondered if the Baker's neighbors were Lady Mamiya. Possibly.
That weird Louisiana portion of Japan.
You know what?
Exactly.
You know what freaks me about Resident Evil 7, and it's not Resident Evil 3 remake. It's not even out yet. And like I said, I've only watched the demo, but just the knowledge of Resident Evil 7, there's that fucking scene where you think you're in the clear and the dad like shoves his fist through the fucking wall and just walks through it.
Oh yeah, Jack.
Yeah, they have that power. The knowledge that they have that power and that could happen at any time in Resident Evil 3 Remake is just terrifying to me. Like, I don't want to see like Nemesis just burst through a fucking wall when I'm trying to save, because you know that shit's gonna happen.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen a lot.
I was just gonna say I'll warn people, spoilers for the demo, the RE3 demo, but he actually does do that.
Oh, he does? Okay.
Yeah, right at the end of it.
He'll make the fucking Kool-Aid man be like, whoa, hey, like, cool it down, property damage, bro, too much.
My heart rate is going up just thinking about it, like playing it. I know it's gonna be a scary fucking game.
Yeah,
but I'm excited for it. Playing this, I'm more excited for it now, just seeing what they have and having seen what they did with Resident Evil 2 and the remake, how far removed that is from the original, like in terms of just mechanics and style and just like well-made gameplay.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of mechanics, Resident Evil 3 was the first to bring us quite a few revolutionary things in itself. It was the birth of the 360 spin, where you could turn a character around with a push of a button instead of doing the full tank swirl.
No characters in video games ever 360 spin before this one.
Survival horror.
It was also
maybe.
It was also the first proper introduction to red exploding barrels and destructive environments.
Sure. In Resident Evil, maybe.
For Resident Evil, yes.
I don't think any of this is true so far.
I'm sorry, what?
I don't think any of this is true so far. Wasn't it Red Barrels? Well, I guess Red Barrels weren't in Crash Bandicoot. They were
also in Doom.
Well, no, I'm not referring to video game history. Like, just in terms of the series, it brought red exploding barrels to the series. Destructive environments like the lanterns you can blow up in the game to set fire to zombies.
Get that fucking lantern to work in that boss fight with the worm. I tried. I died. I tried. I died. And I said, "Fuck it," and killed them with magnum rounds.
My favorite.
Sorry.
I was gonna say my favorite my favorite environmental thing you can do is there's a point where you're not really in a sewer, you're in like a kind of like alleyway type situation. It's like a steam room, and there's a pipe on the wall, and a bunch of zombies come. Like, there are a lot of zombies in this game, more so than 2, more so than 1. Like, they throw waves of zombies, kind of with the expectation that you're not going to explicitly try to fight them all at once. Unless you're insane.
I'm just kind of curious. Wasn't that a thing too, Jesse, where like they had less polygons or something on the characters? They could put more zombies in the game.
In the initial engine and concept for Resident Evil 2, when it was 1.5, there was a lot more zombie mobs, but they were less detailed. And this one, we get the best of both worlds, where we get mobs and we get detailed zombie designs, and their bodies actually get burned in like specific places instead of just their entire body going black, which is nice.
Yeah.
There's that part where like you're in that alleyway though, and there's a pipe on the wall, and a mob starts coming down the hallway at you, and you can shoot the zombies, or if you're smart, you can shoot the pipe when they cross it, and it just like burns them all.
It just does that a lot in this game. Like, one thing about Resident Evil 3 that I did not know going into this is, I knew a little about this game. This game is constantly, you are on the streets. You go in a few buildings like the police station, you go in a couple of real mini stuff, a gas station, newspaper, a restaurant, as some examples. But a lot of this is running from place to place to place as you're doing different things throughout the town. And God, is it like, normally enemies don't respawn very much. I played this on easy, which gives you enough ammo to do the job. When you get more ammo, they like double, like quadruple what you're getting. It felt like you can gun people down. There's no problem.
Oh yeah, nice. If you ever need a power cable, you have to drive from uptown to downtown. Everyone knows that.
Yeah. It's a real bitch. Yeah, Umbrella did not build Racoon City well.
When the apocalypse is starting, people hoard everything. I'm learning that. It's weird. Before recent events happened, I didn't realize that when the apocalypse happened, people just start hoarding every single thing besides food. They start with the soap and the toilet paper. Who cares about the food? Yeah. We're just going to make sure we can wipe our asses without,
I'm not saying our audience is dumb or anything. Like, I trust our audience, but like, if you know anybody who's doing this, tell them to fucking stop. But people who are hoarding bottled water, fucking stop. There's no reason for it. There's no reason to hoard bottled water. You're not going to run out of water. Water comes out of the tap. It's fine. You don't need water.
And you know what? This game makes a good case for that. You know that alleyway that Brad burst out of? You find the shotgun. What did they have case after case of down there in that horde of zombies?
Was it water?
Bottled water.
Bottled water. All the bottled water was gone from the goddamn grocery store, and it's like, I don't understand what you think is going to happen.
I mean, I bought a Brita water filter, and I've been good to go. But I should say,
just drink the tap water. It'll be fine.
I need a filter. But
You're
when it
that
comes to playing
desperate.
this game, I enjoyed myself for the most part. Like, I don't like classic survival horror because I suck at it and I'm scared. But I enjoyed this game for the most part. Like, you start off with a machine gun if you play on easy, and I was just gunning down everybody for the first section before I said, I probably should put this away and stop using it for now.
Well,
Yeah, I didn't need to do that.
It's interesting that it does that, though, because it's more so. I mean, like Resident Evil 4 is not really a horror game; it's an action game. It's a very good action game. But when people say like, "Oh, like RE5 ruined the series because it's just a dumb action game," it's like that's what RE4 was, and
that's what RE3 and 2 are as well, in a sense.
Going back to play it, I was like, RE2 still has survival horror.
I would argue 3 more than 2. 2 still feels very horror.
Yeah, 3's definitely, you can feel the movement to like.
I mean, the horror is there.
Game. But like, yeah, the horror comes from Nemesis, but not from the zombies. Like, you're used to the zombies. So they throw more at you, and so it's like more intense, but it's not like scary.
I think it's more like a fine line where it's like Evil Dead 1 and Evil Dead 2, you know,
that is the furthest thing from
like you have to balance it, you know what I mean? It just gets too ridiculous later in like RE6.
Yeah, it's a constant battle when you are going to do, I mean, look at like any movie with like vampires in it now. If they want it to be a scary movie, you got to go so far into horror to make vampires scary now because vampires are just so oversaturated. Like, look at how people reacted to like Nosferatu when it came out, and like going back, that's kind of a cheesy movie. It's still a good movie, but it's very cheesy. It's not scary, really.
Like, another thing this game does that it does well is there's lots of areas you'll pass by an area and something will break and zombies will come bursting through, like he was talking about with the alley. They do that all the damn time in this game. But they also give you the option. A lot of times when that happens, there are ways to.
So I might get yelled at now because I don't remember if Nosferatu was actually the name of the movie or if it was just the name of the character.
I think it's the name of the movie.
Okay.
Yeah. And the character.
And the character.
There are lots of things to blow up. This game gives you lots of barrels. It gives you lots of just different things.
It gives you C4
pipe. Yeah.
There's a thing where you could crush a brain drainer with a fucking stack of pallets.
Yeah.
Like, you can dodge. And also, one thing we had mentioned, this game also introduces a dodge mechanic where when you're getting attacked, sometimes you hit X. I never actually purposely did it. I would just be shooting because I didn't give a shit. I had enough health items and I had save states. So I was just like, I'm just going to shoot you and see what happens first. And she would dodge a lot of times and just keep shooting.
It's auto-enabled in easy mode.
Okay.
But,
easy mode
is
the way to play this game.
Yeah, it was the first time we got dodge for Resident Evil, and I also forgot to mention this is the first time we got the gunpowder mechanic where we could like craft our own bullets.
Yeah,
which is cool. Which I mean, because throughout this game you will find lots of gunpowder. I used a guide to figure out what I wanted to make, which is Magnum rounds. But it's cool that you can do that. Like you can make shotgun ammo, handgun ammo.
There was a point where I remembered that C ammo could make ice grenades. But I had mixed 3 C ammos and then used the tool, so it made Magnum rounds. And I was like, well, I see this as a win.
Freeze rounds are better.
Yeah, they are. They stopped Nemesis. Yeah.
That also runs into the fact that I see this as a win. The ammo and the Magnum ammo in the game is Winchester Magnum ammo.
Yeah.
I see this as win.
But one thing also about easy mode that I want to say is that easy mode, you start with a Magnum assault rifle right in your inventory. Like right off the bat, you have some nice, powerful weapons. And in the police station, one of the first like real prime examples of the randomness in this game, you can either get the Magnum or the grenade launcher. And then later on, you'll get the other one that you didn't pick up there. I unfortunately skipped the grenade launcher the second time like an idiot because I was scared. But I love that this game is so different.
There are also hidden treasures around the city, actually. You can use the crank on some doors, some steel shutters to get secret ammo in the walls of Racoon City, which I did. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go back and do this because Jesse reminded me about it. And as soon as I got there, Nemesis is literally standing right in front of it.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck.
He's just like shaking his hands, like nah.
Yeah.
That's my stash, bitch.
And also, you can fight. You don't have like most of the time when Nemesis does run into you, you can skip majority of the fights with him if you want to, which I skip every single one except for 2 that I could. I just didn't want anything to do with him.
Yeah,
but if you do fight him, he
as
drops
well.
parts.
Yes.
Mhm.
I don't like wasting ammo in survival horror games. I do my best not to do something that's going to make me use anything more than handgun ammo. I do my best to avoid those type of situations.
Did we
Fighting the bosses.
It's
break Mike?
it's
or
a
something?
test.
This doesn't sound right. It's usually Stefan and I's line of save everything. Don't shoot anything if you don't have to.
Well, I shot
Yeah.
zombies. I just wasn't going to waste good stuff on him. Plus,
Well,
I didn't
that-
carry the Magnum often. I keep it hidden in the chest because I only carry a shotgun and handgun in these type of games. And a shotgun fighting Nemesis is not a very powerful mechanic.
No, like
Well,
even
It's bad.
even
I've
the
done
Magnum,
it.
like, Nemesis
I
is
beat him.
like-
Like, I mean, there's the thing is with the beauty of the gunpowder system, because the game, like, depending, if you practice and experiment, you can, change the amount of ammo that you get in the game, and you might be brave enough to take them on. I, managed to beat them all 8 times, and it's great. You get a gun, you get a special handgun, you get a special shotgun broken up into parts. So you need like to beat them twice to get one of each weapon. You get 2 first aid boxes full of 3 sprays apiece. And, depending if you beat them all 8 times the first time on a clean save, you'll get an assault rifle. And if you beat them all 8 times on a replay save, you get a box of infinite ammo that you could add to literally any weapon.
Nice.
I like the idea of Nemesis like walking around the city. It's like Jill's just like ran away from him and he's like, damn it. He picks up like half of a gun. He's like, yes, I'll do this later. And then Jill just kicks his ass and takes the weapon parts and he just waits like, damn it.
Just kicks him in the shin like a little kid.
My man,
Well, you-
no.
You could get freebies like in the clock tower when you step out in the puddle and like you can yank a cord out of a light and electrocute it and just like, jack your shit.
Yeah.
My shotgun.
Yeah, I like it's very well balanced where you don't have to fight them, but you get good stuff if you do. It's nice. Like some games you can have some games will just throw an enemy at you and you can choose to fight them, but then you just get nothing for it. Or it's like, congratulations, you get to say you beat them. It's like, no, I want a reward to make the rest of the game better. Give me the shotgun.
I
All right.
like the idea of Jill just again running around in the most inappropriate outfit possible, just beating umbrellas like pride and joy 8 times in a row.
Yeah.
Just like, God damn it, Nemesis, you had 1 fucking jump. Stars, I'm trying.
Stars hurt. Like he's got like a little walkie-talkie with him. Like, damn it, Nemesis! Why haven't you killed Jill Valentine yet? She's angry.
She's very angry.
She have headache. All right, we're
Just
sending
hear
in
Jill.
some first aid kits. She take that too.
Just hear Jill in the background. Where are you going, baby? Wait for me.
I'm looking for a little bitch. No. Nemesis hide. It's like trying to hide in like a locker.
You want stars? You got them.
I'll show you stars.
But there's another thing about this game that I think is just kind of, I didn't do it, but
people didn't take away tear glands.
the first half of the game is all about you trying to get this cable car running so you can go
Yeah.
the other side of the city and get to the clock tower. And I think it's interesting
It's a
how
very
these different.
trolley too, because they give you a note. It's not just it's not just a cable car. It's like it's like Raccoon's pride and joy trolley system that was made in Europe and shipped to Raccoon City for some reason.
Yeah.
It's their first transportation system before they added the subway later.
Yeah, so it's like you're not just taking a cable car, you're taking Raccoon City's like first ever landmark, really.
It goes over real well. But
And fucking
I
trash.
like how there's so many different ways you can tackle that scene. Like you get the power cable and then you got to get these other items. You can either go to 2 different buildings to do it, and depending on what you do depends on how the story plays out. And like we'd also mentioned, this game has lots of different sections that give you choices. Like you go to a restaurant and Nemesis attacks you, you either have the choice to hide in the basement and escape through the sewer tunnel, or you can stay in there and blow him up, and then you got to fight him, which is what I did. And I'd like Carlos to shoot the hell out of him.
Yeah, either way, it's just basically like, do you want to fight Nemesis or no? Yeah. That's all it really is. One thing I do want to mention, though, is that the reason you are going around and getting all these parts for the trolley is because you and the team of mercenaries, Umbrella mercenaries, have decided to work together and help get out of the city, because you can't do it without them.
For the time being,
they're a Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate you.
What are we, some kind of Carlos sex squad?
Ow, chill, that's my arm. That's my arm.
Yeah.
But
Indian bird.
I'm gonna go work with Nemesis.
How they sprinkle so much, they sprinkle a lot of story. Like you have the scene where you're talking to Carlos in the restaurant, depending on you do that. When you go to the gas station, somebody blows it up, or it just blows up. Or you have a scene where Carlos will come in there and he's helping you see a bunch of zombies attacking. Like they do some really good jobs of making you feel the suspense and feeling the overbearingness of the zombies that are attacking you. And I thought that was very cool. Like I really was entertained by this game, even though I didn't really want to play it. I was not enjoying myself completely because it's stressful as hell. It's a very cool experience, and it wasn't the super hard Resident Evil either. Like this was probably easier. Well, I had save state, so I'm kind of, it's hard to compare, but I would say it's easier than 1 for sure.
It's easier than it seems, because it seems like it'd be really difficult. It seems like it'd be really stressful, and it is stressful, but it's not as bad as like, or really not as Resident Evil 2, I don't think.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say I am surprised this game didn't get any shit back in the day for basically perpetuating the Resident Evil trope of, okay, you need to find 4 items to progress to the latter half of the game. You need to find 4 crests. You need to find 4 stones. You need to find 4 chest plugs. You need to find random assorted shit. Battery, cable, oil additive.
I think at that point it was like enjoyed though, of like, like it's a Resident Evil game. I can't wait to get the crank. Like
what 4 items am I gonna have to assemble this time?
It would be weird if it didn't have it.
This one I would say makes little to no sense though on some of the items. Like you can't open a door like in the middle of the city unless you have 2 gems to put into it.
Oh God, that's how you get into City Hall. That's how you get into City Hall.
Yeah.
You know what?
I'm gonna get into City Hall.
You know what puzzle I'll give more shit though? Having to get a fucking car battery from a statue.
Yeah.
I hope in the remake, if they keep that, Jill's just like, why the fuck is this even? There's cars everywhere. I could have literally took any battery.
Also, to get the tram working, you need the power cable, which makes sense, but you also need like ethanol alcohol. It's like a fuel. But
you need to make mixed oil, like it's oil and oil additive.
But but which is it? Is it an electric tram, or is it powered by like a fuel substance? Like which is it? It's either a cable car where it has a cable and it's powered by electricity, or it needs like gas and oil to run.
So
those are 2 different types of
video games.
It's like
that's all.
I just like the idea of like some developer being like, "Hey, trams, like, are they oil or gas?" And some other guy going like,
"Yes,
yeah." Oh, both? Yeah. Are you sure? Yeah.
I mean, I agree. It doesn't make sense. But
cars have electricity in them. You're right. I put it in.
Fun fact about the cars in this game too: some zombies will burst out of doors when you run by them, and if you kill them and you go back to the car door where it's broken open, you'll always find ammunition or something, which is kind of nice. Yeah.
This game pushes for everybody. No one in Racoon City owns a power cable, but everybody owns a gun and several boxes of ammo.
Every single was a millionaire.
I like the idea that they all work for Umbrella as like some kind of sleeper agent. Like the whole thing is going to shit, and they're like, "Well, I'm not activated yet, so I guess I'll just die."
It's like John Wick, where everyone's like an assassin.
Yeah.
Well, like literally, the shutter Stefan was talking about earlier, that has like 3 packs of grenade rounds. It's right next to a children's playground. Like there's toys everywhere. Hey guys, look what I found! Play catch. Oh, Tammy, no!
Except the kids in like the Resident Evil universe would be like, "Oh, be careful with that. That's an RG5 grenade. It has a 5-second fuse on the pin if you pull it out. Careful, Timmy. Let's go tell the teacher. She'll know what to do." And the teacher,
Where did you hear about that? My dad, Barry.
yeah. And she's just like, "This is dangerous," and locks it in like a crate with like a million other guns and explosives. I'll just put this in the lost and found.
I like that the game does give you so much ammo because it makes me feel less scared in these type of situations where I feel like I can shoot my way out, because I shot a lot of freaking zombies. I would try to avoid some, but if you were in a place that I knew I was coming back to, or you just got in my way, it was over. And I got to a point probably midway through this game when I realized, like, I have way more ammo than I need. I can kill people, and I'm just going to start unloading.
Yeah, you can get to, especially if you're on easy, you can get to like the Resident Evil 4 levels where it's like, okay, it's the final boss fight. I've got 600 rounds of handgun ammo in my item crate. I probably should just save it just in case.
I mean,
well, I love how there's like all this excess ammo, but this is like the first game where the final boss doesn't actually need you to shoot it like at all.
Yeah, the ammo is almost more of like a puzzle piece, like with your fucking inventory than anything else. But it's nice that you could go through and be like, I only need to take like 30 rounds because I know I'm going to find like another 200 along this path.
You can find a lot, which is nice. And one thing I thought was also cool is how the game is really broken up into two parts. Because after you get in the trolley, you get the trolley running, you go to the other side of the city and you never go back to this part.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well,
it takes you away.
Was wondering about this, and I don't know this answer because I don't know as much about Resident Evil 3 as I do about the other games. I'm sorry.
We have someone here that does.
So yes, I don't know if either Stefan or Jesse know this. Was this meant originally to be a kind of Resident Evil style story where you pick either Carlos or Jill, and then they just scrapped it and said you're going to play as Jill and then Carlos later?
No. Once the Joe Schmo was taken out, this was Jill's game pretty much.
Because it definitely has like elements of like, I could see how this would have been somebody else's campaign.
I don't want to like say this is a bad thing, but it's possible too that the reason you play as Carlos at one point in this game is because they maybe didn't feel like if they gave the whole game to Jill that like people would be interested like to play just as a female.
That's a fair assumption to make for 99. I mean, people still do that today.
Yeah. To be fair,
for 2020.
To be fair, it's also filling in the trope because they always, every game up to that point had a section where you could play as another person. In RE1 you could play as Rebecca for a small portion of Chris's mission. In RE2 you could play as Sherry or Ada. So in this one I think it was just to give people kind of a little break and a new play style, because you get the assault rifle as Carlos, and if you're playing on hard mode that's the only time you actually get to, outside of kicking Nemesis's ass 8 times.
Now I'm trying to think about this. Does Resident Evil have more female playable characters than male playable characters? Because it's got to be at least close. The first game and second game are a wash, and then third is Jill, 4 is Leon, so that's a wash.
I'd say for the larger amount of female characters that get to actually be like the leads in these games, unfortunately it still is a sausage fest, because they like towards the latter half of the series they just got the biggest hard-ons for Leon and Chris for some reason. Or like those are the only 2 people who can keep going through this.
You could argue that was like because it was supposed to be the end of their story. They got the focus so that they could like end their arc and start anew.
Which is funny because like their arc is the same thing. We lost people, must drink in bar, feel sad.
Chris.
Life is hard. Well, no, that's all Chris. Leon's whole story is like, I still just want to fuck Ada and she's dead.
I'm a moody,
I'm not dead.
Bitch.
I can't believe Ada. Like really, like the real moral, or not really moral, the real arc of Leon's character throughout the entire games is at the end of RE6. There's a point where Helena like thinks Ada's dead, and Leon's like, she's not dead. And it's like, yeah, you finally learned that she's never dead. Like, it took you this long. Like, come on.
You know, but like talking about all this in hindsight, it really makes me realize Resident Evil 3 pretty much is Jill's finest hour. Like this is her
wasn't
story.
RE5. Spoilers for RE5.
She is pretty fine.
Yeah, but like this is her moment where she gets to pretty much lead the fucking story, survive against all odds an entire city that wants her dead, and she manages to claw her way out. And hopefully, if you guys picked the actual right option, got in a good one-liner on her way out too.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah, the only other game she's like, I mean, she's heavily focused in one, but the only game with like a ton of story that like really gives her anything is Revelations 1,
Well,
which I'm fine with that game. People don't like that game. I think it's fine.
Yeah,
this
I mean,
game actually gives her a lot of character, I think.
Yeah,
this game actually shocked me because I thought the game ended at one point. When you get to the clock tower, you have to ring the bells to call for a chopper to come in and get you out of the city.
Mm-hmm.
And it does come in, and I was like, oh, well, I guess that's it. I beat it. That was weird. There was no end boss. And then, of course, that's not what happened.
It's a Resident Evil game, Stefan. That helicopter is going down.
I was 10 years old.
That happens in both of them.
Hey,
I want to say
there's worse assumptions.
You were not 10 years old.
I was 12.
I want to say, was it Tim Turry who said when he was playing Resident Evil 4, it was like 50% of helicopters in Resident. As soon as you see a helicopter in Resident Evil, 50% of them are going down.
Pretty much.
They're gonna go down.
That happens in 4, 5, 6.
6 multiple helicopters get blown up, so it actually has a worse win rate for helicopters.
I think you're in 1 in 6.
3 has one go down.
If you're in a Resident
2,
Evil,
oh my God, Resident Evil 2 on the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 1 has a helicopter show up and then he just leaves you behind.
But it doesn't go down.
Bravo Team goes down.
Bravo
Bravo
Team goes down at the
Team-
beginning, yeah.
Because
They landed it.
They landed it, but it was like running out of gas, so it was like a forced landing.
Engine failure. Yeah.
So yeah, that was like the game's like the series started with like the most minor of helicopter crashes on technicality. It just only went like further from there.
Yeah.
If you're 6 hours into an RE game and you see a helicopter showing up, congratulations, you just hit the halfway point.
There's like one guy in the Capcom staff. Every time they're like, "So what do we do about this helicopter?" He's like, "Crash it."
Yeah, blow that shit up.
You guys were saying about the helicopter. That's it when you first get to the clock tower scene, which I did like the clock tower. I think it's kind of cool. You come in, everything's kind of normal. You fight a few enemies, you run around, do a couple puzzles, and as you're in there, things start to go to shit later on. As you get up to the top, you see the helicopter. Nemesis blows it up, which is such a cool ass cutscene. Even 20 years later, still badass seeing him blow up the helicopter. One thing we forgot to mention,
flying over Jill,
that I want to say was one of the coolest scenes in this game. There's a part when you have to make a choice, which I made the wrong choice. Where you're in a room, and I forget you get some item. You're in a generator room, and some zombies burst through the fence, and an option comes up: do you want to stay and fight, which is how you get the grenade launcher, the Magnum, depending on what the random number generator chose for you, or jump out the window. Well, me being the scaredy cat, I jumped out the window, and you get the coolest scene where there's a bunch of zombies crowding her. Nemesis blows them up with a rocket launcher.
Yeah,
and it was fucking badass. And then I ran for my life because I couldn't beat him with just shotgun.
Is that also the part where you can turn on the generator and like electrocute all the zombies?
And make their heads explode. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Oh, that's great.
My guy didn't say, because it just said your choice, and I chose jump out. Like, okay, this is easier. So I didn't know that.
We should probably get to, because this is about the point of the game where you've met Carlos at this point, but before some of the stuff happens, you get introduced to on the train. You get introduced to the other members of the the UBCS team. The UBCS team. You get to meet.
Funny if their nickname was "God damn it."
God damn it, Nikolai. God damn it, Zinoyev and Mikhail Victor.
Fun fact: they were supposed to be brothers originally.
Really, that makes sense to me. That's a very Resident Evil like soap opera type storyline. You've betrayed me, brother.
If you notice their original face models, they look very similar to each other. They were supposed to be brothers.
It's hard to tell because everyone looks like melted butter at this stage in PlayStation.
Yeah, one of them just needs to have black hair and the other one just has to have blonde long hair, and then we'd know.
I like Nikolai in the remake looks like totally different to me. Like RE3, he's like, I don't even know how to describe him. He's like kind of beefy, muscular dude. And I think they realized at some point that he's supposed to be more like Wesker, I guess. He's supposed to be more of like a scientific type dude.
He's cold and calculating the obvious. I'm gonna stab you in the back. Look to him.
He's not like a beef head. Not beef head. He's not a muscle head. Like
with a very interesting accent.
Yeah, vaguely Ukrainian, Eastern Europe, like
somewhere in that mess.
Played again by a Canadian.
Yes,
this is how Nikolai will sound because his name is Nikolai, and so he'll sound like this. Not really trying to do Eastern European, just some syllables will sound Eastern European, and he bad guy.
Yeah, there's that guy, like, he is everywhere in the city. I mean, we'll talk about it when we get to Outbreak, but even in that, he's like trying to, what was it, Jesse? He's like trying to capture a tyrant or the parasite.
He's trying to collect a blood sample from a tyrant at the university. Mind you, this is on the early morning of October 1st. The city is doomed. It's gonna like be blown up in hours. But he's like, no, I'm gonna take this side mission, go take care of this real quick, and I'm gonna run all the way back to the dead factory. And it's canon. It's all canon.
Yeah.
This is Nikolai, right? You're talking about?
Yeah.
Mikko,
it's
all injured at this point when you find him in the train car.
Yeah, Mikhail.
I did like that scene when you do go to the train car. Nemesis jumps on the train car, and you have the choice to either, like, you can stay and fight if you want to. I just ran out the door, let him blow up the train car with him, and then you can either jump out or crash, which I thought was kind of cool. I jumped out, but I did I love all the options in this game. I love how, we all probably could have had different experiences if we wanted to. We were all playing this the first time.
Yeah.
Only I was.
And I'm going to, like, the thing is, we're going to say this a million times, and it's going to be, like, basically half of my shelfer box, I think, but, like, I hate to say it again, but I'm really interested to see what happens with that in the remake. I want to know, like, how much of those choices in the remake, like, affect the gameplay. Because, like I said, Resident Evil 2 remake is so far above and beyond what Resident Evil 2 was. I'm just wondering if Resident Evil 3 remake is like, you make a decision, and it's like, okay, you're in a completely different part of the city. Like, you've changed paths.
My theory is going to be how that's going to unfold, because they pretty much kept the maze-like feeling of the city where you don't have to go through a sequential order of events. You can go to different places in different order, and it'll change what happens. So they're pretty much just going to take out the life selection where it freezes. Like, okay, are you going to stay? Or are you going to fight Nemesis? It's either like, are you going to do it, or you do it? If not, run. Like, don't wait for us to ask you.
I'm pretty sure he's going to be scripted, though. He really feels that way in the demo.
He kind of has to be, but again, like, that's the demo, and Capcom does have a habit of, like, putting out demos and then releasing entirely different games just to trick you. I mean, they did that with... Did they do that with Resident Evil 2? They definitely did it with Resident Evil 7.
Yeah, Resident Evil 2 had Ada shooting at you in the STARS office instead of the parking lot.
Yeah. And then Resident Evil 7's demo was like a completely different house. They changed... It was just, like, a completely made-up part of the game. And they were like, you.
No, that house is in the final game. It's the guest house portion.
Yeah, but they make you think that's like the beginning of the game, and it's also you're not playing as a prequel. Character. It's a prequel story.
Yeah, it's like, I think it was based more on, like, everything felt like ghosts as opposed to, like, Jack actually being there as a person.
Yeah, it's like I mean, it's one of those things where, like, I'm sure the demo is close to the gameplay of it, but it's hard to tell with Capcom. They're very good at kind of pulling the rug out from under people and being like, haha, like, this isn't actually, this is just a part of the game. Or, like, this isn't really a part of the game. We just made this separate for the demo, which is impressive. That's that takes work to make a whole level that isn't in the game.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff, actually. We're going to get back to Resident Evil 3, but there's some weird stuff in the Resident Evil 7 demo where, like, you can see Mia's ghost standing off in the distance.
Yeah, it has like a PT feel to it almost.
Yeah, so they fuck around.
Spooky.
But yeah.
You were saying about Resident Evil 3, like, when you're climbing, I did like it. You get to the top of the clock tower, after the helicopter thing, and you have the choice to either blind him or fight him. Of course, I'd blind him and pushed his ass off the frickin' tower. But because every time I could, fuck fighting Nemesis, I was like, I need to get through this as fast as I can.
Fucker fight.
But I like how he does poison her, and they have that small portion where after you beat him, she gets, or, I think you push him off, then you climb down, then you have to fight him in, like, the courtyard. And I like how she gets injured and she gets infected by the Nemesis. So this is like a more powerful virus than that she has, not just the regular T virus.
Yeah, no, it's the Nemesis T virus.
It's a different strain of it. it's like it's not really more powerful. It's just a different because the Nemesis virus is meant for more like there's a lot of different tyrant variants, and they all have like different variations of the T virus. Where this first tyrant was like a mindless killing machine, and basically Umbrella's whole goal is to make it slightly more like sentient, so it can accept orders and follow orders effectively. And so Nemesis was one of their tests to be like, let's make him a little bit smarter and see if we can give him a mission to like hunt these stars peoples down and like see if he can figure it out himself.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. X was the first. Mr. X and Nemesis were both equal experiments at that point to try to tame different versions of the tyrant and get them to do Umbrella's bidding.
Yeah,
I think Nemesis was the stronger case.
Killed.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are all people we should remind you that these people were all experimented on, and I think tyrants are so rare that I think it's like 3 or 10% of the population can only become tyrants and survive. Yeah. So like they had to have experimented on thousands of people to get there.
Well, the thing is, all the tyrants in the game are actually clones of the same person. We find out in Umbrella Chronicles they're clones of Vladimir Sergei, one of Umbrella's like generals or executives or something.
Huh. Yeah, but the experiments to get there, I mean, it took like thousands and thousands of people.
Oh yeah, a lot of homeless people were participating.
Their own researchers too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, their own researchers, dogs, or random strays, like a lot of because that's one of the big things in Resident Evil 1 when they start out. They mention like disappearances all over the city, not just people disappearing in the woods, but imply they're being eaten by dogs, but also just like random people are disappearing from the city too.
Well, yeah, it started in the forest and then it progressed. Yeah,
I think it's confirmed in RE2 that they were also taking the children from the orphanage and experimenting on them too. Chief Irons. That's why he was opening it up so that all the orphans in Racoon, which is funny, there's any that are there, but it's sad that they took all those kids and just started experimenting on them.
Well, it's not the first time something like that's been confirmed. In Resident Evil Gun Survivor, the part of the facility, like a majority of the kids they were keeping there are teenagers who they were they were using their serotonin. They were withdrawing it so they could make their Tyrant Hypnos variant that you end up fighting at the end of that game. It's really fucked up. But it's just like these massive amount of teenagers, because it's like, I forget the name of it. It's like a special type of serotonin, or like a variant of it that they withdraw. And they're like, nope, it's only good for kids between like 16 to 19. And there's just fucking prison full of them.
I think it's just bananas is what it is. It's bananas.
We don't even have to cut that out. I was only gone for a second. So, a future guest of the podcast had technical difficulties.
But
Sam?
As
no,
Mike
Riley.
As Mike was saying, though, when you push Nemesis off the clock tower, I think it's kind of funny because Jill pushes this huge guy off there, but when it comes to a statue, she has trouble moving it around.
Like the bell, she can't move the bell, which is only there because they don't want you to go out that way until after Carlos goes to the hospital. That was stupid. Like I thought it was cool when they have Carlos come, he finds her all messed up, takes her to the chapel, drops her off, and this is supposed to be the end of the first day of when Resident Evil 2 starts, correct?
Yeah,
this all takes place. This is September 28th, and then September 29th is RE2. September 30th into the morning of October 1st is the rest of the game.
So all the mercenaries get murdered by the time Leon shows up, because the idea wasn't invented yet, but
most of them.
Yeah,
I mean there are a lot of mercenaries that felt like were dropped into the city, but I guess it is a city, so you wouldn't see everybody.
You have to consider there was also Hunk Squad that was like entering the city around this time as well.
Well, you find their corpses in the game.
Yeah. Basically, Umbrella is like, I mean, and also not to bring up a game that everyone had very mixed feelings on, but Umbrella Chronicles, you had like your whole team going in there and having to make some decisions, but that I guess was a like separate timeline.
you talking about the online only one, or are you talking about Operation Raccoon City that we played?
Sorry, Operation Raccoon City.
Okay, I was gonna say like
that's not canon.
Yeah, that's a different timeline. I wanted to say before I was so rudely interrupted by future guest Riley, because she listens to this podcast. I call her out. I love when you defeat Nemesis at the clock tower and he like runs away through the fire and it just looks so like bitchy. He's like holding his arm and he just like starts like lurching away. He's like, oh, she hurt me, Mom.
Yeah.
Oh, she's being mean to me. Wesker.
Meanwhile, Jill's just milking it for all it's worth. Carlos.
Sexy Carlos to some save me. I'm Carlos.
But I'm
He was pretty fucked up from that fight.
Jill!
I love how he's like, he tries to sacrifice himself so many fucking times throughout this game.
Yeah, there's the
multiple
gas
times he's like, I'll take care of this. The fucking gas station. What was that? What was his plan? I need to bring this up because you go into the gas station and first of all, gotta say the gas station. I love the car like maze you have to go through of all the crashed cars that are just piled around it.
Yeah,
That'd be
one of
accurate,
them is even a DeLorean, I believe.
Yeah, it's so great. There's a like bright red car right by the front, and there's the camera view of you heading in, and it just gives you like that bright red bottom of the screen. It's like it's like art. It's a beautiful screen.
I agree.
But then like Carlos shows up and a bunch of zombies start coming, and Carlos is like, "Don't worry, I'll take care of them." And so you go in to do your own shit, and he's outside fighting the zombies. And when you come back outside, he is like laying against the wall, unconscious looking, and all the zombies are dead. And you're like, "Carlos, are you okay?" And he's like, "Sorry, I was just napping. I'm fine." Like, what the fuck was he doing?
Jill just steps outside, kicks us. Like, I've seen better, more subtle acting in telenovelas. Get the fuck up.
I don't know what his plan was. Like, but God, part of me hopes they change everything about Carlos for the remake. Another part of me hopes they like find a way to explain his bizarre behavior. Why are you pretending to be dead? You're fine. Nothing has even touched you.
I think he'll be a bit more grounded this time around, but Jill, they definitely ramped up Jill hating him. You know, she's like, "Oh great, this alleyway's on fire. Well, I'm sure a tall drink of water like you can put it out. Fuck you."
Yeah. Which is awesome. I really like that dynamic in a game of them just like absolutely hating each other. I hope at the end they don't even do like a weird tease romance thing. They're just like, "Yep, we hate each other and we got out of the city together and now we're free."
It's not even that he hates her. It's just that she's very obviously like, "No, you're, as far as I know, you're fucking corporate scum and your company caused all this."
It's a nice little dynamic of like, I hate Umbrella, you work for Umbrella. And he's like, I might hate Umbrella too. I don't know. I used to like Umbrella, but they might have lied to me. And I hope that the remake ends similar to this one where they just kind of like, all right, like, see ya.
They seem like they're trying to take him a little bit more seriously, where like these mercenaries are more like Lethal Weapon types. Like,
these are straight out of like Predator, and not the first good Predator movie. Like, they're like Predator 2 guys. Yeah,
Predator 2. Yeah.
Predator is bad guy, where it's like, okay, like how many like autistic jokes can we make in a movie in 2017 or 2018? Like that level of like just dumb. Like, I mean, it works for Resident Evil because it's cheesy, but it's like, they're really shitty mercenaries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they get massacred pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't help that Nikolai is killing everybody too.
That's true.
Find out, because I want to say it's after the clock tower, like when you go to the hospital and you're playing as Carlos, because the whole thing is him trying. I did like that part where they switch. You get Carlos for a little bit, and he's trying to get the vaccine for Jill. That was kind of cool. And I mean, lucky enough, there happened to be a hospital that was working on the vaccine not that far away from where she got injured. But hey, video games. And it was cool. Like, running down the street, you run into Nikolai, you see him kill a supervisor. Like, oh, I killed that guy. And this time he's not even hiding it like last time. Like, oh, this guy got bit. I put him out of misery. Like, this guy wasn't even bit. Nothing. He's like, oh, I shot him. You didn't see nothing here.
Because he's going around also trying to accomplish things that don't tie Umbrella to what's going on as much. He's trying to destroy the hospital and stuff. And like, you find notes around the city eventually saying that Umbrella was trying to stop the US government from nuking the place, but they couldn't. So eventually they sent in all these notes saying, you guys got to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, and if you get send us your
too.
data,
That's
and
almost-
if you live,
Yeah.
that's cool.
That's I always love that in games and movies, that trope of like, it's not even really a trope, it's just that kind of story of somebody's going in and he keeps running into other UPCF members and he's just like, what are you doing here? And he's like, oh, like Nikolai's a traitor and we're really just here to like clean up. It's like, oh, are we the bad guys? Like, yeah, Carlos, you're getting it. Well, it would have been like, it would have worked more if it wasn't Umbrella, I think, because, but I don't know, it's hard to say because you have that first guttural reaction of like, you see these guys working for Umbrella, and as the player, you're like, these are the bad guys, and then it kind of pulls, you know, it kind of like twists that, and it's like, oh no, we need to work together. You're not actually the bad guys. You're here for a job, and I'm here to get out, and we all need to get out, so let's work together. It's like, that's a nice little twist. But
okay,
then
Ricky Martin's naive. You know, I need to get out. Let's work together.
Yeah. But then later on, it's like Carlos is like, is Umbrella bad? And it's like, that's not a good twist because we already know Umbrella's bad.
I feel like he pretty much gets it by the clock tower. Even a little bit beforehand, you know, when they first fire the trolley up and Jill's like, yeah, Nikolai might be dead. And he's like, okay, cool, fine.
Yeah, but he's
Didn't
like,
really-
it's not like he's Umbrella. It's not like he's saying Umbrella's bad. He's just like, we need to get out of here. Our mission's a bust.
He's pretty much like hands off on the whole thing, because even from the get-go when Jill calls him on his shit, he's like, Umbrella calls all, he's like, hey, I just know we're supposed to come in here and help people. That's what I was told.
It's just my paycheck. And it's not until this part of the game where like you run into the other UPCS member, Patrick, who's like, oh, Nikolai's a traitor, and it's like, then he starts to care. It's like, we knew they were bad though. Like, you can't have that reveal be as effective if we already know Umbrella's bad going into this.
Yeah, if they all like had to test themselves for the virus, Nikolai would definitely test positive for evil.
Yeah. It would have been better to have it set up as like, I don't know, like, and I don't know if they're going to do this in the remake. Maybe if Carlos was like arguing with Jill, like, no, like Umbrella does good things. Like, see, we're doing this. Like, we're here to help people, and like they show them actually like helping people and like trying to get them out, and then it's revealed that they're bad. Or if they work for some other organization and then it's revealed they're bad. It's just, it's not as effective when it's like, oh, like, you mean Nikolai, the weird Eastern European guy working with Umbrella, he's the bad guy? It's like, duh, like, come on, Carlos, you're having a real Chris Redfield moment here. Like,
I mean, he worked for the company, so he didn't see it coming. I mean, I'll buy it.
The problem is like, it's fun. It's a great story once that happens. The problem is just from the outside perspective as the player, you already know it.
Well, yeah, but we're also playing Resident Evil. Everybody's bad.
It's like in any movie it's like in any movie where somebody is like, you mean the Russian guy with the scar on his face was the bad guy the whole time? And anybody in the audience is like, yeah, we knew that. We've seen movies before. Like, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just kind of part of the game's like low-key message about, you know, the evil of corporations and corporate thinking in general. And it's more of a standing board for Jill to be like, listen, asshole, corporations suck.
Yeah.
You get what I'm telling you. Yes.
I'll reserve judgment until like Resident Evil 3 comes out and I can play it. And I'll give this game credit for like, it's not like, I don't love that part of the game, but you know, it's 99 and it's Resident Evil. It's allowed to be cheesy and kind of dumb at times. Like,
I find it funny that because of Umbrella and what they do as a corporation, most people in the Resident Evil world would probably be Medicare for all.
Yeah, well,
wouldn't want any corporation meddling.
It would be because then if it was in this universe, like Umbrella would own the government, so they'd be like Umbrella for all.
Yeah,
like the Umbrella private insurance that's just cheaper and like owns everybody. See, like that's what you need in these games, though, to do a story like this. You need like, because everybody in Racoon City works for Umbrella, you need people going like, those are our jobs, though. Like, Umbrella does good things for us. Like, oh, like I don't work in the bioterrorism unit. I'm a doctor in a hospital that's funded by Umbrella.
Yeah, I get
it's touched on in some of the files. I can't remember if it's Chris's diary or Jill's diary that you can unlock by like getting all the files in the proper order. But she mentioned, you know, there's mentions like, yeah, nobody wants to talk because Umbrella pays all their paychecks. Like nobody will believe me because again, Umbrella pays all their paychecks. They can't possibly be the bad guys. I'm desperately trying to tell them they are.
Like there's a diary from Resident Evil, where Umbrella made the first aid spray, which is like a miracle spray, which we talked about in our Resident Evil 1 episode about how, like, realistically, crop dusters should just fly over cities spraying it constantly. Like, it just heals everything. And I feel like it'd be a cool story dynamic to throw in there. Somebody being like, hey, like, I know Umbrella does this bad stuff, but this first aid spray is really great and has saved a lot of lives. Like, they're bad, but they also do good things. Like, if you want to do that kind of story, then throw in that kind of like evidence to support that they have done good things too.
And then rename the company Neo Umbrella or something.
Yeah, or like Tricell or
Yeah,
let me just pull up a list of all of Umbrella's affiliates real quick.
They tackle it quite a bit, especially later on in the series and stuff, where it goes all the way up to being like, oh yeah, by the way, the U.S. government was also complicit in Umbrella's research and stuff, all the way back to the Raccoon City days.
Yeah,
that's not brought up for a while though.
It's a lot of like everybody who works with Umbrella is bad, and I just it might be just me personally, but I would like to see a part of that story where it's like some people who work for Umbrella are good, or like they're just trying to like help, like not forgiving Umbrella, but I would like to see help. I'd like to see some complexity there.
I had a quick question, real quick, Jesse, because I can't remember specifically what it was, but isn't there in the game like little photographs you can find of like 90s sitcom shows or something?
What?
I could have swore this is a thing.
I don't remember this at all.
Yeah.
I don't remember Jill stopping and being like, oh, Full House. I fucking hate that show.
Well, it's like one of them's like a Nickelodeon show that's like something Mac. It's like a girl that wears a baseball cap. Alex Mack, yeah.
I don't remember that at all.
I'm Googling it.
So, speaking of the hospital, I'm going to take over.
Mac.
Damn it. Okay. When you get to the hospital.
Easter egg.
There's a YouTube video. Yeah, Alex Mack in Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. Cool Easter egg.
Why? That's such a weird. Why?
I don't know.
For the 13-year-olds that technically shouldn't be playing the game, who are playing the game.
The Secret World of Alex Mack like ended a year before this game came out, though. Like,
I just
did it.
Yeah,
I had to point this out. It's just so bizarre. There's like 4 other shows too. I just don't remember what they were.
I'll keep looking it up.
Well, while you're looking that up, how convenient is it that hospital had the vaccine? Like, I kind of half expected Carlos to come back with that and Jill's be like, you idiot, that's just Kool-Aid.
I mean, that also where they first introduced the hunters in this game, which look like regular hunters, but look like infected and have stuff growing on them. Like, they're all weird looking.
They're hunter betas. They're a new evolution of hunter. And then later on in the park, possibly we can run into the park. No, actually, the basement of the hospital, hunter gammas, the frog-like ones with the big mouths.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry, I'm still looking.
Stefan and I are going to be like useless for a second.
Yeah. Okay, wait. It says it. Oh god, the text is all blurry. It's called House of Our Own, which came out in 1990 something. Yeah, the text is too blurry. I can't read it, but it's got like 4 different sitcom posters. Oh, Back to the Future 3.
Hell of Our Own was a movie with Kathy Bates in it. I think that's the only thing worth notable about it.
Oh, then maybe it's a movie. Yeah, but there's like 5 different posters in the Stars room, I think it is, where the welcome sign is. Or no, Stars room.
In the West Office, you mean? Where the welcome...
West Office, yeah.
I know there's a bunch of Burger Kong posters around the city.
Yeah, there's Dino Crisis and Resident Evil 4 posters as well. Yeah,
there's a Biohazard 4 poster at the theater. It's advertising Biohazard 4, and I'm just like, trust me, kids, it's gonna be a wait.
Yeah, it's a while.
Okay.
Well, I was saying,
it's in the gas station. Sorry,
the hospital was like I really like that part with all the hunters and everything, and then where you find Nikolai, who ends up blowing up the damn place. I mean, which is this way the game's saying, no, you're not going back there. So they blow up the freaking hospital after you get the vaccine.
I guess
it fits.
It's a scene that's like, when I saw that scene, I was like, wait, was that inspiration for the whole blowing up like the hospital and cafeteria in Resident Evil 2? Because that wasn't in that game.
Let's not pick at that Ouroboros of nastiness.
Yeah.
So, and then
I'll
I
think
do
about the
like
first
it.
movie, but all the other ones are just a nightmare to dig into.
And I do like it how after you get done with Carlos, after you get the vaccine, you run back to the clock tower. And I was worried because I knew there was a timer somehow involved, but there's no timer until you get into the room and then Nemesis shows up. And I almost failed on this. I started fighting him, then I backed up and I'm shooting at him. He's like, fuck you, Carlos. He just went in the door and went to go kill Jill. And I'm like, oh shit. Reloaded my save state, and then I just stayed right next to him and keep fighting him. Otherwise, he'll just leave you alone. I'm like, that's nice.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that could happen. All right.
Yeah. It's a race against time. Basically, you can, as Carlos at that point, you can try to knock Nemesis out, which will make it easier for Jill when she wakes up, because then she only needs to knock him out once.
That's what I did. I killed him just because I didn't need any of that ammo that Carlos had, because I knew it wasn't coming with me, because the guy didn't tell me it was. So I just fuck this. I'm just going to use all the ammo on him. I don't give a shit. But because it makes, like Jesse was saying, it makes it a lot easier when you go back to Jill, because Jill's got to fight him all over again.
Yeah. I guess I just have to be a less efficient player from now on. Thanks, Capcom.
Yeah, there'll be a cutscene where he'll race towards the door and he'll smash it open, and then it cuts to white, and he'll just be like, "You died."
Hey, you died.
I didn't see that, but I was coming. I wasn't paying. I gave him too much of a leeway to run.
I like after that you go through like the Raccoon Park, and
Park is cool.
the park is
It's
really
gorgeous.
Cool.
I love that park.
It's just creepy as fuck too. Like they did a good job when you're running across a bridge, and as we mentioned earlier, the Gamma hunters jump out of the water and come after you, and you have a lot of hunters in the park, and there's a part where I think you can either have zombies or hunters or something. Like there's a more random element in this part as well.
I think it starts with hunters and then later switches to zombies after you've been through certain areas.
Yeah.
I think it's hunters first, then you do the whole cutscene thing with Nikolai where you find out that the town's going to be nuked.
Oh yeah.
And then it
You go in
switches
the
to
shed.
zombies on your way out of the park.
I ended up, and then you fight the worst fucking boss this entire game. That fucking worm shows up, and I didn't bring any healing items. I wasn't prepared. I had my Magnum, but I got my ass handed to me this fight like 3 or 4 times. I had to reload this fight because I just kept fucking up. And the guy said, "Okay, if you shoot this light pose, you can electrocute." I'm like, "Okay, I'm just gonna go do it." I, for the life of me, could not get it to work.
Okay, Mike, do you want me to tell you how it works?
Sure, please.
Okay, so this fight kind of sucks, but essentially you're supposed to run back and forth and dodge the worm, shoot it to get it to go back in the ground when you need to. And after a certain amount of time passes, there'll be a cutscene where the ground shakes and the light posts get more crooked. Then you can shoot them and make them fall into the water. You only need to get one in there if you really don't have the time. But if you can get both in there, you just got to wait for the worm to pass by and it gets electrocuted to death.
Oh, okay. I didn't
But
wait
it's a
long. I never saw that
time-sensitive-
cutscene.
Yeah, it's a time sensitive thing. You have to basically stay alive long enough for that to happen, or just do enough damage to the worm to kill it.
Okay. And
Great
Magnum
vigor.
is not that useful. Like you're supposed to have the grenade launcher, but I skipped it by accident. And God, I regret it. Because they keep giving you grenade rounds all the time in this game. They'll give you grenade rounds, acid rounds, freeze rounds. I didn't make any, but I had a ton. And I'm like, fucking shit, because I couldn't use any of them. And I really regretted it in that worm fight.
I can't wait to see that worm fight in beautiful 2020 HD.
And also, one thing I do want to mention is you can fight the worm earlier in the game where you can. It's optional where you fall into a hole somewhere in the city, and if you fight him there, his health is less when you fight him in the park. I just skipped him because I didn't know that or care.
I've never defeated him. I just dropped the ladder and got the fuck out of there.
I was confused by that the other day because Mike's like, "Can't you just climb the ladder?" I'm like, "No, you have to like kill the worm." But I mixed the two situations up.
Oh, that was mean.
Yeah, sorry, Mike. No, I mean,
okay, I watched the speed run, so that's why I knew about the ladders. I'm like, what the fuck is Stefan talking about? And I just left.
yeah, I forgot you have to fight him twice. That was the thing.
It's okay. I'm not surprised.
God, it's so impressive how much of this game is fucking intertwined. I like Resident Evil before this did that too. Like, I mean, there was the in Resident Evil 1 just like rescuing. God, I can't think of the fucking guy's name. Richard Akins? Richard something?
Yeah.
Is it Richard Akins?
Yeah.
Just like finding him, you don't have to fight like the snake boss like the first time. You can just skip that fight entirely. Like other games have done that, but just it feels like so much of this game is like it feels like so much of this game is planned out so well of like, oh, you can fight this boss early and then they'll have less health, or you can do this early. If you do this in a different way, then like Nemesis won't find you here.
You could fill out an entire giant ass whiteboard or blackboard with just all the webs and branches you can take in this game.
And a lot of it's just like little tricks in game design, little tiny like if thens of like, oh, like if you did this section, then like we'll reduce the boss health by like 25%. It's just tiny things like that make it feel so much bigger.
It's like,
and you know what? Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say it's like Charlie and Always Sunny.
With the yard.
Yeah.
Karen.
I don't think people get the joke of that where he says Pepe Sylvia keeps sending mail.
Oh yeah,
because Charlie can't read, so he's saying Pennsylvania.
What's funny about
coming
that,
from Pennsylvania.
What's funny about that is that they've interviewed the writers like and Rob McElhenney and Charlie Day like a million times, and that has come up in a bunch of interviews with them, and they're like, we can't take credit for that. That's just a happy accident. Like, we did not. We just thought Pepe Sylvia was a funny name.
Yeah,
totally accidental, but it's hilarious. And like Karen in HR really is care of HR.
Yeah, Karen HR. It's so great.
Karen's not there. Pepe's not there. No one works in HR. God, I'm gonna have to watch all.
So after you run through the park,
Sunday because it says that
you fight that terrible worm fight, and that's when you end up like you get caught the dead. Well, there's a bridge you get to, which I guess plays a huge part in the last section of this game. Nemesis, of course, runs up on you again. And you get to either shove him off the bridge or jump off the bridge. And I had actually messaged Stefan because he had told me push him off, but then I wasn't at the bridge yet. And I'm like, okay, so I remember I got to push him off. So I went and called him and double checked. Because if you don't push him off and you jump off the bridge, you end up having an extra boss fight later on that I saw a speedrun and wanted nothing to do with it.
You have to find
fucking Nikolai in a helicopter.
Yeah, he's in a hind.
Well, you don't. That's still an optional fight though. Jill can negotiate her way out of that situation.
Yeah. I mean,
there's two options.
She could, but I didn't see that happening with Mike, you know.
I could have, but I didn't want nothing to do with it. So I was not upset when I'm just skipping it and went on.
Just pass the whole thing together. Yeah.
But the factory's cool. Is this supposed to be this is a different factory than the one that Leon was in, correct? Because that was underground. This is something completely different.
No, this is vastly different. This is the other side of town, far away from the laboratory, and yeah. But
it would be a bit ridiculous. But again, like Racoon City is just Umbrella's play. Like, I can't get the sentence out. I'm really struggling with this. Umbrella's, God damn it. Right. I'd say cut this out, but me saying that means it's all staying in. Racoon City is Umbrella's playground. So, like, basically, there's a billion factories in this tiny little town of, like...
Say that 5 times fast, Stu.
Which one?
Racoon City is Umbrella's playground.
Racoon City is Umbrella's God damn, I couldn't even say it once. Raccoon City is Umbrella's playground. So, yeah, they've just got factories and, like, labs all over. And that makes sense in the context of the game. So it's not ridiculous. It's like, oh, yeah, like, this is just another one of Umbrella's weird areas. And when you consider that, it makes sense that there's like, you know, upwards of hundreds of Umbrella security guys in town all trying to collate data and get the fuck out.
Yeah.
They don't know that.
Yeah, they had hidden facilities everywhere. But the reason that bridge decision is so important is because essentially what happens is if you push Nemesis off and go to the main entrance, you get confronted with Nikolai directly in the hallway, and Nemesis ends up brutally tearing him to shreds. Whereas if you jump off the bridge, though, and you have to start in the sewer part of the facility and work your way up, and essentially what will happen is Nikolai will steal your rescue helicopter. Yes. And personally, I gun him down. I use the rocket launcher you can find in the game, and I'm like, fuck you, bam, out of the sky. And it's like, oh, shit, that was our rescue vehicle. And then you get a mysterious message from another pilot who we find out is Barry Burton from the first game. Come back
I saw something that showed him, and I was really confused.
Yeah, he only comes if you jump off the bridge, and that's the canonical ending because he has to come back and repay his debt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because his daughter gets kidnapped. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because he's not. Yeah, he doesn't show up again until Revelations 2, like 15 years later, or more than that.
Yeah. It's explained that after this, Jill starts working with the BSAA, and Barry's
a consultant.
He's a consultant. He's like, I'm done. I'm retiring. So I like the implication that he's working with the BSAA, but really he's just like their armorer. Like he's like, I know guns. Like that's what I can do.
I know what they do to these things.
I'll build these fancy guns for you.
It makes sense. I think he was like 50 in the first one, or 45. Yeah, he was the oldest member.
Well, I mean, Chris and Jill have like barely aged since Resident Evil 1, so who knows how much time has really passed.
Chris just got thicker, Jill just got blonder.
Yeah, she did get weirdly blonde. And it seemed to be not of her own volition. So.
No, side effect of being pickled in a test tube.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I have an important question for you guys. So there's one final live decision in the game. It's during the boss fight. Did you evacuate or did you exterminate the monster?
Yeah, I exterminated him.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only way to go, right?
I mean, I do love that. Where I mean, you actually have a choice because one thing, you do have a timer that's ticking down, showing you that the missile is coming. So depending on how much you fuck around with the Nemesis fight, which we had briefly mentioned before, where Nemesis, after you fight him in this like acid room, he gets dropped down into a acid. And
your classic pit of acid that every factory in the country has.
Yeah, because they're disposing bodies there. That's the whole point of it.
I mean, you got to have an acid pit. The Joker fell into an acid pit. Nemesis fell into an acid pit. You got to have an acid pit.
It's not like they could have a foundry underground, Terminator 2 style, like RE2 had.
Look, it's gonna have a factory. All I'm saying is you're gonna open a factory. You like OSHA regulation. You got to have an open acid pit in the middle of a factory. That's just federal regulation. There's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah, that fight was fun. Like I like that after you beat Nemesis that time, the last fight is you just running around pushing batteries in to activate a massive rail cannon, where all you have to do is just herd him in this way to get him shot. Like it was cool.
Yeah, there's one thing I want to mention though, because Nemesis falls to pieces basically after all the damage he's taken through the game, and Jesse had to remind me of this, which at first I didn't really like this as a piece of lore, but Nemesis's carcass falls down on a tyrant and apparently he absorbs it.
He starts
eating it.
Yeah, he starts eating it, which is crazy.
Which is how he regenerates limbs and turns into the tentacle monster he becomes at the final stage of the game.
Yeah. His final form.
It's a big
Jill's just like, enough fucking tentacles, Jesus Christ.
But another thing we should mention before we wrap this part up, is we didn't mention the greatest puzzle of all, the water puzzle.
Oh God! Somebody explain to me how this makes sense.
I just followed what you sent
match
me.
Up the spaces.
It's really annoying though.
If you match up the spaces, it'll give you a good thing. It'll cut your time in half. It's what I do for my speed runs.
I just don't know why you need to get a water sample, though. It doesn't make any sense.
Because it's a water treatment facility.
But why would you have something that's sitting there to make it fake that there's clean water when there clearly isn't?
Because they're Umbrella, because they're a secret corporation that puts their name all over everything, even though everything they're supposed to be doing is top secret.
It had my favorite scene. After you get out of that water puzzle and you walk in one of the hallways, it's full of zombies, and I knew how close I was. I just grabbed my assault rifle, grabbed a bunch of extra clips I've been hoarding, and just went to town on all the naked zombies that came running out of the sewer, out of the water. It was great. I was so happy just gunning down everybody while the missile was coming later on. Oh, it was wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
It was my best moment in that game. But
by the way, I'd like to point out, you don't actually. I mean, you shoot Nemesis like in a fucking like steam blast, which is we've seen before. Will just take a zombie's head off. But he's just like Nemesis's last scene in this ending is like he's just dead on the ground. I'm saying you don't actually see him like get completely disintegrated. In my Resident Evil 8 game with Lisa Trevor, Nemesis could totally be left over.
He'll be
Just
Lisa's
gonna throw it out
boyfriend. Write the fan fiction, Stu. I feel like you're the man for the job.
I have a book somewhere about like how to write video games based on like the structuring. I did it once before in college. I might do it again for RE8 and be like, this is my pitch. Because I had another good idea of like what if a bunch of people were stuck. Well, yeah, Resident Evil. We'll just call it Resident Evil 14. Like I'm sure they have the next I can't do math all of a sudden. The next 6 games planned already.
Yeah. No, they keep scrapping 8 and restarting from the ground up, which honestly, if any of what I heard that was leaked was true, they really needed to because it sounded fucking awful.
Well, fucking call me, Capcom. I've got your idea right here. You need to revamp the series. I got you.
Make it a romantic comedy,
Yeah. No, we're gonna set it in Racoon City, in the remains of Racoon City, and we're gonna do that because a new game will rise from the ashes of the original series. That's what we're gonna do, and it'll end. By the way, my RE8 game is gonna end in the remains of the Arclight Mansion. You're gonna leave the city and go up the hill, and we gotta find the original lab.
He's a snarling tentacle monster with a big smile. She's a hideous freak with mommy issues. Mother. Coming this summer. Resident Evil 8.
Mean to me. Chris was mean to me.
To a GameStop near you.
Here's the idea though. You're in Raccoon City. At some point, you're going through the tunnels. You find these old Umbrella researchers that were like stuck underground, and the nukes went off, and they've just been underground since, so they've had no contact with the outside world. Great concept, right?
Starring William Dafoe as Albert Wesker.
That's a fucking great idea.
Oh my
and you go through these tunnels, and you gotta like fight through all these zombies and like old POWs that are like all decaying and shit and like mutating. And you come out of the tunnel and you realize you're in the fucking wreckage of the Arclight Mansion. It's a great thing.
Did I ever tell you about Resident Evil Dash? There was a whole thing where they just go back to the ruins of the mansion, and then Capcom was like, let's not do that.
Yeah, they need to do it though.
So speaking of what he was talking about earlier, before I kind of finished up some of the stuff.
Speaking of what Stuart was rambling about.
Yeah, so we're just going to skip that. When I almost muted you, actually, I was about to. I decided not to. I can. But there's a part where Jill does, like, you have a choice, either stall time, or not stall, waste time, or keep going. And we said earlier, we all just go. Jill rolls over, grabs a random Magnum that happens to be laying there that wasn't there before. Sure, she already had a Magnum in her inventory, but
the rarest weapon in the entire game, and there's one just laying on the ground.
Yeah, well, not for me. I had 2 Magnums in this game, but no grenade launcher. And then she grabs a Magnum, and then she shoots him. She's like, "You want stars? I'll give you stars," and shoots him. Just shoots him a bunch of the Magnum.
She just unloads the magazine. It's great.
Cool ass scene.
Yeah,
and then
all 6 bullets.
It's so cathartic.
Run down a hall, up a ladder.
Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
It was cool. Like I enjoyed the ending where Carlos has has waited in the helicopter. You get in the helicopter, and then you leave the city as it's getting destroyed. Like that was cool.
Wow, Carlos! I didn't know you could fly a helicopter. Actually, I can't. Fuck!
That ending to me is so cool too. The nuke going off. I know it's like I was so impressed by that as a kid. I don't know. Because it doesn't look great, but like when you're a kid and you see like the buildings collapsing, it's like the Dragon Ball style. Sorry, I made a Dragon Ball reference. It's like the Dragon Ball style explosions.
Don't lie to me.
Disintegrate. I'm not sorry.
I know you're not.
It's like Terminator. Sorry.
I'll agree with you, Stu. I think that across the board, all the animation actually looks pretty rad still today.
Yeah, it holds up.
Yeah, exactly.
There's some stuff that's like a little like it's like it shows its age, but everything can be forgiven. The stuff that's like kind of bad, it's like, okay, I can forgive this for being the 90s game. There's nothing that's like over the top bad where it's like, okay, this just ruins it.
It's super memorable.
The cut scenes were, I thought, very well done for this one. Probably the best they looked. Not to knock twos, considering they had to do everything last minute when they changed everything. But It's funny with that explosion because Capcom had to actually retcon what type of bomb decimated the city. Originally, they styled it like a nuke, but then they realized, oh wait, if we used a nuke, the EMP would have made that helicopter crash and killed our star.
Oh,
So
Our star.
yeah. So
My
for Outbreak, they changed it to 3 hydrogen bombs, and then they upped it to like 5 or 6, or just like multiple bombs throughout the city and filed 2.
We gotta up this, guys. We got a chance here.
Well, I think somebody, I think I was about to make a really bad joke, but I'm gonna avoid that. I think somebody came to them and said, like, "Hey, this isn't how like nukes work. It doesn't like this is a whole city. It wouldn't decimate a whole city. Like, a nuke would be like maybe like 20 square miles, just a regular nuke. Like, it wouldn't take out
the entire." It might. I mean, it does. It did do the trick with Hiroshima, Nagasaki.
That was
like,
the joke I was trying to avoid making. But no, that's actually those weren't. I mean, they were bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna say they weren't bad because they were fucking bad. But they weren't like this. I don't know. It's hard to tell because I don't know what the scale of Racoon City is really. But when you're pulling out, it looks really big, and the nuke is like a firebomb of the entire city. It's like, yeah, I understand how they had to keep adding more and more bombs because they were like, hey, like this is more than what a nuke can do.
You know, what you could do for your Resident Evil 8 fanfic, Stu, is you could say that the zombies that didn't get hit by the impact, like the radiation from it, mutated them. And now they're these new zombies. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, canonically, the city is pretty much, they never rebuilt Racoon City. It's fenced off, and Umbrella has like laboratories on towers on top of it, surveying.
Radioactive zombies.
Seeing if anything survived, but like
Umbrella
pretty much
to go back in because they're trying to get samples because the zombies are mutating in strange ways from the radiation. It writes itself.
Oh God! I knew this was going to be a long episode.
Mike is like, please get me out of here, please.
Okay,
I was eating jerky at one point. I was drinking some kind of juice. I've been just sitting here. I'm playing Mario Kart. I'm like, do.
Let me run this by you. Let me run this by you. Quick idea. All right, you go into Racoon City, and Lisa Trevor is there, but she is mutated into a gigantic life form, and it's a kaiju game.
I'd say play RE6.
Well, you know, RE6 but like better. You know, more of a horror game, not like it wouldn't be like there's a giant kaiju. Quick, get all the grenade launchers. It'd be there's a kaiju. Shit, we have to hide.
One of Hunk's team members is named Nani. Nani.
We really need to play RE6 on this show.
We'll get there.
We talked in our first episode that we never released because it wasn't a real episode. We were just shooting the shit. Us 4 or the original 4. We were talking about Resident Evil 6 that first episode, that first thing that never got recorded. Mm-hmm. That's how I thought of it. And I'm like, yeah, it's been. And well, I mean, DJ's missing. You know, it's been this long. Like, yeah, maybe one day we should cover that game.
Eventually,
I'm trying.
We'll get through all the Resident Evils. We'll probably get through all the Resident Evils before we'll get through Silent Hills.
Yeah. There's less, but
if we ever get through all Silent Hills,
we will.
I'm going to say right now 2 and 3 is worth it. But anyway, quick question. So
I want to play Homecoming.
Okay.
I'm about to go on to the questions. Just to let you know.
So did anybody play Mercenaries in their playthroughs?
Thank God, I forgot about that
too.
I did not.
I'm glad you brought this up. I didn't. So feel free to say whatever you want to say. I'll go back to Mario Kart.
Fun fact, Mercenaries actually has its own story. It's not a canonical story, but it does. It's so essentially the setup for Mercenaries in this game is there's like a private pay-per-view channel that only the richest people like around the world can watch, and essentially they strapped a bomb into 3 different soldiers, which in this case it's Carlos, Mikhail, and Nikolai. Mm-hmm. And they have to get from the trolley all the way to the warehouse at the beginning of the game. And they get more money and time on their bomb for every enemy they kill and for every civilian they save.
And at one point, I think, don't 2 Nemesis show up?
Yes, in the playground's Y hallway, there'll be 2 of them, one with the rocket launcher and one without, I believe.
Fucking terrifying.
Sounds terrible. I remember seeing Mercenaries when I was a kid. My friend had introduced me to this Resident Evil series, had this game, he showed me Mercenaries, but I never played it, and at this point when I beat the game, I was like, fuck it, I'm done. Time to move on.
I mean, it's almost like a cheat code in a way, because if you get enough money in Mercenaries, you can basically buy an infinite rocket launcher and use it in the main game. So
yeah.
Oh, can you play Mercenaries before you beat the game?
No.
Oh, okay.
Unless it's the PC version, because I think you get access no matter what on that one.
Did
that make sense if it came out later?
One more thing before we do the questions. Did anyone go through the epilogue files?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I have all 8 unlocked.
Yeah, because the epilogue files for those, I feel like that's something that a lot of people don't hear about with this game, really, because it's not. I don't think any other game did that in this series. I can't think of any other.
It's
this way.
It's part of what they try to do to add replayability, because the game is honestly fairly short. Like, it's a lot of scraps from other games and stuff cobbled together
in like 3 hours. If you
that was 5 hours for me, but it's not long. It's just
Stefan, what's your fastest time?
I think I showed Mike my fastest time on this one was like 2 hours.
Okay. Yeah, it was 2 hours. What you showed me, what you sent me when you beat it.
Yeah, that was like, I think that has to be my fastest time, because I had actually beaten the game like a week ago and then I replayed it again. So yeah.
Well, speedrun is about an hour for all bosses. What I was watching before I played this,
I'd like
the all bosses category.
I like that
he fights every Nemesis fight.
Yeah, I bet the remake will be like there'll be an achievement for beating it in a single hour. Guarantee you.
I fucking hope not.
2 hours.
I guarantee you it'll be there.
I hate speed running.
But I wanted to bring up the epilogue files.
Did you just say you speedrun this game before we started at some point during this podcast?
I do speedrun it because I know it like the back of my hand, but that's because, oh, cool, I beat it in under 2 hours. Whereas, like, when a game's like, no, you have to beat it to get this cool shit, I'm like, I don't want to. I just want to enjoy the game. Fuck you.
Yeah, but I agree with you, Stu. Okay, so, like, if anyone who doesn't know what the epilogue files are, it's basically a screen that shows all the characters from the whole series so far and what they're doing after they escape Racoon City. So Barry is with his family. Claire's is a really weird one. Yeah,
it's Claire leaving Leon and Sherry behind to go look for Chris.
It's so bizarre the way it's done.
Leon getting blackmailed by the government into being a U.S. agent.
So Chris's is him saying, like, please forgive me, Claire, and it's about him leaving to go hunt down Umbrella. Jill's is about her leaving to hunt down Chris. Claire is about her leaving Sherry and Leon to go hunt down Chris. Why aren't people working together to hunt down Chris?
Yeah, Barry's is him leaving his family so he can go hunt down a Magnum.
And and these are all, by the way, these are all like concept art. They aren't like in-game screens. They're actually very well done.
Yeah.
But Barry's,
there's actually a ton of them that we didn't even get to see on that one too. But I'll get to that in a second.
Barry's is him hugging his youngest daughter, and I think his oldest daughter, Moira, I want to say her name is in the background.
Mm-hmm.
His wife looks just like fucking Claire Redfield. It's like disturbing how much his wife looks like Claire Redfield.
She does.
Lazy.
She looks just like Claire Redfield, and his daughter looks kind of like Rebecca Chambers, and it's like,
you and Rebecca.
What the fuck?
Rebecca
really have it.
She looks like Rebecca Chambers. I don't know what to tell you. Like, Barry's got this weird thing with his family where everyone in his family looks like all the other women in his life. It's very strange.
Yeah, I want to say that Sherry's is probably the saddest, maybe along with Ada's, but she basically gets left by Claire with the army, and they're just
government custody.
Yeah, and they're just questioning her, like, do you have any relatives? What's going on? And she's just thinking, like, oh, Claire will come back for me, which of course she never does.
It's really creepy too, because it's like her sitting in a window. It's so isolating.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was because part of it, they were originally going to set up a subplot where Sherry was going to fall into Wesker's hands. Like, they built up this thing and they elaborate on it more in the original document, Wesker's report. And then they did nothing with her until like Resident Evil 6. So they like quietly retconned that out of existence, along with Leon getting blackmailed by the U.S. government. They're like, if you don't want anything to happen to that little girl, you're gonna start doing some work for us. And he's like, fuck.
I'll be on the record. I know I'm in the minority. I like that aspect of 6. I like that Sherry is working for like the U.S. government and Leon is totally against that. I like that dynamic a lot.
She gets to be the Carlos of that story, pretty much. What do you mean the U.S. government is bad? God damn it, Sherry.
And I like that she has a like totally different play style to Jake. I don't like Jake. He's fucking annoying, but his dad's annoying, so that makes sense.
He's played by Troy Baker, that's why. But anyway,
I like how different there's like their whole like section is in that game.
I just want to ask this quick question because I know Mike's like ready to go to questions. But
I am, but you're talking about the game. You're not ranting, so it's cool. I'm okay with non-rants.
So the scar on Ada and her the scar on Ada and her epilogue, that's from when they were on the thing going down to the lab, right?
The elevator, yeah.
Yeah, the elevator. Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
This is Ada's scar. I'm not Ada anymore. Goes on to call herself fucking Ada Wong in the next games.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah, it's like more story. It's like more emotional story than she's ever gotten in any of the other games combined.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anything that they build up like emotion wise for these epilogues, they know. I don't feel like
they're
really
not even epilogues.
Sort of.
They're like side stories. They're like.
It feels like they try to do what they did with the EX Files, the N64 version, which is basically like, get ready for all these sequels we're going to be pumping out over the next few years. It sucks, though, because like all the living characters pretty much get epilogues except Rebecca.
Yeah, Rebecca's really forgotten, isn't she? I want to say.
Yes.
In the series. She's in a movie.
There was
We're not going too far.
There was a rumor back in the day that Nemesis was actually Rebecca, who got captured by Umbrella, experimented on.
You have no idea how much you just hurt. You just hurt Stu just now. Yeah. That's why I wouldn't be surprised if your girlfriend ends up being some girl with short brown hair and it's a medic. I would not be surprised.
Becca's in the third CGI movie, okay? And she's in Biohazard, the stage play.
Well, yeah, no, canonically... Trust me, Stu. I know she's alive. She's alive. I'm just saying. At the time, it was the kind of the thing. It was the assumptions people jumped to.
You're trying to comfort me. Like, don't worry, she's okay.
She's alive, Stu. It's
fictional character. She's all right.
Okay.
It'll be okay.
As I mentioned, she had to be taken out of the series because she was too smart to be in it. She would solve everything too fast.
Pretty much. But
we need to watch the second animated movie this October, I think.
Yeah.
Every year, this podcast in October, we watch another Resident Evil movie. I mean, once we blow through the 3 animated, we get to watch the good movies next.
I'll set the first 2 live action ones with you guys, but after that, I'm out.
Joke's on you, Mike. After we're done with the 3 CGI movies, we're watching the stage play.
I'm okay with that.
I'm gonna put off those live action movies as long as I can.
You keep doing that. I'm auditioning for Rebecca at the next production that's going around.
You're auditioning for Rebecca. Hi, I'm reading for Rebecca.
You have a beard. It's weird.
You're reading for
Rebecca. Herbs are okay.
All right, we're going on to questions because So, we're going to start with some comments, memories, and questions from the Overblood. I watched the entire Overblood replay group. That's a long name. So first one from Sebastian Gomez, or however the hell you say his name. He said, Nemesis honestly freaks me out so much. Agree. Fucking freaky in this game.
Creepy.
From Michael Davis. Nemesis coming crashing through the window of the police station. I had flashbacks to the damn dogs in the first RE. This is scarier. This is a lot freakier because the dog just came in, you shot the handgun, problem solved. You shoot Nemesis with a handgun, problem not solved. I tried. Doesn't do much. But from Mark Quesino? Who knows? The first time seeing the choice to give the option to flee into the station, but then I had to fight him anyways when he crashed through. Only major gripe I had with RE3 was the water puzzle.
Yeah. Say that.
From Ron Hutone, he said, the choices, Nemesis, the monsters, only RE I can remember were the pistols objectively better than the shotgun when fighting Nemesis. Is it?
Well, it is the samurai. It is the samurai edge. It's supposed to be like top of the line.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
this one-
depends on how you
fun.
And this one's from a fellow asshole who is a friend of the show who made me play Beautiful Joe. Sam Mercer said, been playing through the game for the first time, decided to fight every Nemi encounter and have been struggling.
I explained why he asked me like 2 or 3 times over the last couple of weeks. Like, have you started RE3 yet? Have you started RE3 yet? I just ignored him every time.
I just want to say I'm very, very, very proud of you, Sam. Good job.
Yeah.
I fucking hate Beautiful Joe. It's a good game, but it's the one game out of all the games we did I couldn't finish because I didn't have save states or any way to like do any. I just could not, and I still you ruined my perfect record, Sam. It's all your fault.
Is that the hardest game we've played?
Yes.
Okay.
The hardest game I
no
could
hesitation.
glitch or cheat or do something to get by like I do with every other game when I have to or feel like it. It was the one game I couldn't do it with. So.
Okay.
From Jake Bull, he said, for some reason, I
myself.
seem to remember having a PS1 until someone got mad at this game and knocked the cover for the disc tray loose. That's sad.
Must have been Nemesis.
PlayStation had a lot of
Through the
issues
door.
with that. I remember because my PlayStation, like not just PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, my disc tray, like
Oh, yeah.
it just
early
loosened
ones.
up and fell out for some reason. And I was like, oh great, I guess I just can't use this anymore.
And this from the Laser Time group, got a few questions from these guys too. From Raymond Carrier, he said, God, I remember watching my brother play it and freaking out every time Nemesis Kool-Aid Man onto the scene. And then after he S-ranked the game, I played it using the unlimited Gatling gun, making a jump out of Nemesis. There's an unlimited Gatling gun in this game?
Yeah.
There is. It's the second prize in the mercenaries thing. I don't think it's great against Nemesis though, because it has a charge time. You have to like and then get it going, and he's already closing the distance by the time it starts firing.
That's still cool, though.
Yeah, Nemesis is not. Make no mistake, if you play this game expecting the tyrant, Nemesis is not a tyrant. He is quick. He charges you and grabs you and like fucking slams you against the ground. It is not a slow lumbering enemy.
Yeah,
Okay,
he
this
either
one-
slams you or tentacle fucks you. So it's bad.
Yeah. And then sometimes his hand like
Yeah.
explodes for some reason. I didn't really know what was happening there, but
Oh, his
Yeah.
rocket launcher, it'll explode.
no, like sometimes he'll pick you up and his his empty hand will like pulsate and he'll drop you.
Oh,
And
it's
I'm not sure.
fluid from the tentacle, like he's getting ready to tentacle punch you in the face.
Oh,
Yeah.
and you got to say, the worst Nemesis fight is not in this game. It's in Operation Raccoon City. Because fuck that fight with Nemesis.
Still
I
a
remember
masterpiece
that.
compared to
Remember
Umbrella Corps.
Never played Umbrella Corps. Never will. So.
Yeah, don't. It's any price is too much.
I know,
I like
I'm
how
putting
this
it on
one
my
never
list
played
for
Umbrella
Halloween.
Corps, never will. Mike, weren't you also the one who picked the other Resident Evil game coming up soon?
Dead Aim? Yes. I'm excited to play Dead Aim.
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
But I can cheat Dead Aim.
I feel like Mike is in this weird period where he can be like, oh, I picked this bad Resident Evil game. Like, defend it, Stefan, defend it.
You guys, I don't want to be defending Dead Aim.
Somehow
Just
Mike picks
playing
it,
it.
and then like the pressure's on us.
Well,
Dead
I-
Aim's a 3-hour game. I needed something quick, and I want to knock out as many Resident Evil games as we can. And I'm like, Dead Aim seems perfect. Let's throw that on. That's how it is.
Have you guys done Gun Survivor yet?
Not yet.
Like
No.
the last PS1? I was gonna say that's the more interesting camp fun one. Dead Aim is fucking boring.
And
It's
it's short.
just
Well,
it's just knock off Leon and Ada on a boat.
Oh, we'll have
Okay,
plenty.
we'll
of
talk about
jokes
that later.
About Bruce.
Sure.
and Gavin.
Played it. I'm always been excited. Okay, I got some more questions. We made my phone shut off. All right. From Ross O'Brien, said playing this game with my older cousin, and the moment we realized that Nemesis could chase you through doors, we both absolutely shat ourselves and nearly ran out of the room. That made
Okay,
me
yeah.
laugh.
So we didn't really even talk about our memories with this, but that going
No.
back to being a 12-year-old, and I thought, oh, I went into the other room. I guess that was it. No, that scared the shit out of me because it immediately starts playing his music, and as soon as the screen transitions, he runs the fuck after you, and he will do it through multiple rooms. But yeah,
Honestly,
it scared me as a kid.
This is a good memory. From
Yeah.
Brandon Elder, that this was the very first game for the very first system I purchased, my very first paycheck for my very first job. Actually, love it more than RE2. I mean, I can see that. I can see why you like this game more than RE2. Especially if it's your
fine.
first game you ever
Mine's-
played.
It was my first game I ever purchased too, along with RE2.
I would never.
With my first paycheck.
I would never fault anybody for this being like their favorite Resident Evil because it does a lot of really interesting things, and I
Yeah.
I can see how people. I mean, like I really appreciate it. It's
Oh,
It's got a lot going on.
you'll like this one from Michael DiGiacomo. I said that
I
wrong.
hate it.
I wasn't crazy about it, mostly because I thought part 3 would be very different in my head. The real part 3 is very different. It takes place with Claire and Chris. The way part 2 ended, I thought Chris and Claire and the rest would be going to Umbrella HQ and you'd be playing at the HQ facility. That kind of happens.
I thought it meant part 3 of the game, and I was like, where the fuck are Chris and Claire? I was so confused.
Hence why
describe
Capcom
Code
wanted to
Veronica.
do Code Veronica.
Which comes way later.
Chris, Claire, what?
Okay, I'm going to read one more from this group, then I have a Resident Evil group. I have a couple of things I want to read.
You might want to reread that
Dak
question
Reddy.
because we talked over it.
I love what there was of it, particularly the ammo crafting mechanic, and of course the Nemesis, but it felt short and slight compared to the previous games. I feel like it would have been less of an issue if this one had been labeled as side story and Code Veronica had been called 3, as was rumored to have been the original plan. As Jesse had stated earlier, I completely agree with.
I think it was the right call to go this way. Yeah, it's I mean, like, Steve just sucks. Steve sucks so much.
There's also something weird about just thinking of Code Veronica being labeled as number 3. It just doesn't feel right. I don't know why.
It skipped such a huge story beat, you know?
Yeah, it kind of makes sense from like a protagonist standpoint to do like Chris and Jill and then Leon and Claire and then go full and Claire, I guess. But
I feel like this should have been a side story. It should have just been Resident Evil Nemesis, and then Resident Evil 3 should have been Code Veronica, because Code Veronica is the next one that does move the story along.
well, this one
Raccoon
also
City's destruction is moving the story along. Because that was my question at the end of RE2 was like, well, that's great, but the city didn't blow up. It was just a lab. What about all the they're going to get out eventually.
It was coming in the end of 2, I thought.
I'm trying to think. What does Ari? God, what does Code Veronica do for like the story? Really, it's like a lot of history.
It brings the Redfields back together, and essentially it's like, cool. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it brings the Redfields back together, but like, who gives a shit? Like, because they're not together for any other game. Like, it's not like it'd be like if Code Veronica would be a great 3 if in Resident Evil 5 it was Chris and Claire instead of Chris and Sheva. Like, that would have made more sense to me, but
well, here's the other thing: they're building up towards a confrontation with Umbrella that we never, unfortunately, get. At least not until Umbrella Chronicles.
Yeah,
good game.
I mean, it also kind of expands the universe in that we know the 3 people who created Umbrella, but we never got to meet some of them. So it kind of goes over there and shows what happened with that. Yeah,
it's been a long time since I played Code Veronica. I just know I hated Steve.
Well, someday, unfortunately, we'll be on this show.
I'm a little afraid to play on the show because I'm worried that if we play it on the show, because I'm so forgiving with games that I'm going to play it. I'm going to be like, you know what? Steve wasn't that bad. Now I have to defend him.
Hey, and it will be on recording. It'll be great. And then Spam can just play it for you whenever he gets mad at you.
Yeah, there we go.
He cleared.
All right, I got
fucking Canadian crap.
the Resident Evil veteran group.
Is going to listen to this, and I really hope if he starts like taking sound bites of this and playing it for me, I'm just gonna let you know right now, Sam, I'm never fucking playing a game with you again. It's so frustrating.
He listens to the show, doesn't he?
Yeah. It turns into like a reporter, like, well, on 2019 you said this. Is that really your position?
All right. I got one question from Resident Evil Veteran Group, or one comment I want to read from Julie Deno. She said, my best memory with this game was beating Nemesis to the RPD and hardest difficulty for the first part of the Eagle 6.0. which took me legitimately 6 hours to do. I got such an adrenaline rush after finally beating him. Seeing him remade in 2020 makes me terrified of how hardcore he will be.
See, yeah, I feel bad for people like that, because when you see like speed runs of this game, you can actually get Nemesis to get caught on like some of the
there's a bunch of
corners office.
Yeah, I feel
just
bad
sit
for
there
the
and load into
speedrunners,
them
though, because they're going to be trying to speedrun 2020, and I guarantee you they will have fixed that.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. They're not going to bring that stupid thing.
It'd be
back.
Hilarious if they kept that exploit just as a
Yeah.
Oh my god, he's stuck on a desk. Okay, cool.
They had to get like 20 designers to spend 3 weeks each on this one, like on the geometry specifically around Nemesis
to
and
make
his
the
desk.
splits happen.
All right, like if he gets to this desk, he has to stop. He can't get by it. And they're play testing. And it's like, he got by it. Shit, it's broken.
Fix it.
Tyrant gets my desk and a big red mark by it, and they're like, "Oh, we gotta fix it. We gotta break this. Ah, damn it."
All right, so I got a couple more. I'm going to read from another Resident Evil group, and then we'll be done with this. From Dante Rhines, I never expected Nemesis fired rocket launcher. I thought it was only a prop. Yeah, it's not a prop. It shoots it right in your fucking face.
That'd be really weird. Just like fucking Jill's running from Nemesis. He holds up the rocket launcher and just a little big flag that says bang comes out. And she's like, "Oh, you big shit."
That's how like it actually ends is RE 2020. He like holds it up and bang, and like it cuts back to Jill. And he's like, "I've switched his bazookas." and then the nuke goes off.
All right, from
Star subtitle.
Jordan Scott Dunleavy, he said, "I can't remember my first memory of this game, but it's my favorite game of all time and will never stop being so. I do remember picking it up at Game Station back in the day on GameCube. I don't remember anything after that." A lot of people really love this game. So from this one, from Joe Seymour, said, "I bought the game at Best Buy back in 1999 for $20. I still have it. I don't know how the hell you got that. And play. Still, it's an original case with a manual, not a scratch on it." I'm trying to figure out how you got it for $20 the year it came out, but hey, stuff does happen like that.
Yeah. You know what I hope in the remake, there's a scene where Nemesis walks into an elevator and there's a zombie corpse there on a chair. And he reads the shirt and it says, "Now I have a machine gun." Ho, ho.
All right. Next comment.
You say
from
you don't know how I did that.
Ruben.
I've told the story on the podcast, Mike, about how I got the brand new PlayStation 2 for the price of the 64.
Yeah, that was a funny story. I don't remember the exact details, but I do remember you telling that story. Yeah. So this one from Cortez, he said, "You can bring Nemesis down. He will drop a case with gun parts every time you defeat him." Not every time. I beat him a couple times. He didn't drop anything for me.
Because he doesn't in easy mode.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the trade-off.
I'm okay with that because I wasn't gonna fight him enough time to get any parts. I only beat him twice just because.
The Western shotgun's so badass though. Jill flips it like she's like Arnie, Terminator 2.
All right, this one from Adam Simmons.
Everybody
said,
I remember
my brother not being able to work out how to unlock the safety box to get the gem. He had no idea to correlate the STARS ID with the computer to get the code. He was stuck at it for hours and hours to the point of giving up. Me and my friend started to play it once. He had given up and stayed up till the small hours the next morning completing it. Yeah, I can see that. I wouldn't have. I had a guide, so these puzzles are a little annoying. And last thing I'm going to read. From Jed Stefan, he said, "Old Nemesis face looks better."
Oh yeah. Where does everyone stand on new Nemesis face?
Honestly, he's an ugly motherfucker either way. I'm okay with it. As long as people aren't complaining about Jill swearing too much, I'm okay.
Oh yeah, I saw people freaking out about that. Like she swears, and it's like, yeah, there's a fucking zombie apocalypse. Who gives a shit? Like, come on.
I thought it was that she was just being mean to Carlos, and they're like, she can't be mean to Carlos.
Yeah, that's
people who are someone in an apocalypse. You do swear a lot. I mean, that's just kind of I think what happens.
There's people who are there's people who are legit say that it's forced, and I'm like, well, clearly you didn't play Revelations 2 with Moira. I just discovered swearing Burton. Yeah, boss, right up the ass. Fuck yeah, dad.
We're gonna play that game.
Shut up.
Also, I'm gonna say that anybody that is complaining that she's being mean to Carlos, either you don't remember the game or. I'm sorry for saying this, but that's like also just straight up like an incel argument of like, girl has to be nice to guy. It's like, no, he works for Umbrella. She hates Umbrella. She's gonna not like Carlos.
Needs to smile. Jill needs to smile more, you know?
Yeah. Like, oh,
she'd be pretty.
She just needs to find her a good man. It's like, and I wonder if part of that is because Carlos now looks so much more like a real character that people were like, he's upset, but I don't give a shit. Like, he works for Umbrella. She hates Umbrella. It makes sense that she does not like him upon meeting him. And also, you don't know the context in the story. Like, wait for the fucking game to come out.
Plus, in the end, I mean, he is a merc from outside the country. She has absolutely no reason to trust him whatsoever.
He's a mercenary who works for Umbrella. Like, by that logic, it's like, okay, you've definitely killed like hundreds of people.
Yeah.
And people.
But yeah, Nemesis's face, like, yeah, I don't really see too big a problem.
I like it because the old Nemesis face, he still kind of had like it basically
humanity.
Yeah, the biggest change is like instead of his eye having the scar, like the stitches over, it's like fleshed over and more of his jaws exposed. I kind of like that. I also like that his outfit is I don't know. It's not
garbage bags.
It looks like garbage bags, but if you look at it like really closely, it's like nylon medical sheets.
Oh, yeah. So this was a thing that we were making fun of in Operation Racoon City. But apparently the Tyrant and Nemesis, that clothing and everything, it's supposed to help keep them from transforming earlier and mutating.
They're limiter coats.
Yeah, the limiter coats. So that's what they are. That's why they have that, which is
a little detail I really enjoy though with the new costume is there's bits of caution tape thrown in.
Yeah.
The original marketing campaign for Resident Evil 3 in Japan, where it was called The Last Escape, they sold copies of the game wrapped in caution tape. That was like their thing. The commercials would show the tape breaking, and I was just like, I wonder if that's kind of like a little reference to that.
I hope so. I think the actual outfit looks really cool, especially with like the giant. Like it looks like it's like stapled into him. It just, I don't know. It's like organic but wrong. I think it's a really strong look.
Mr. X got the better deal. That's all I'm saying in terms of comfort. It's like I just French coat.
Mr. X, like, are you going to tell me that's a transformation limiting fedora that he's wearing? Like
fedora intensifies.
Yeah, like,
I don't know why they brought that one back, but Jesus,
the fedora, like, give him a hood. Like, what fucking. Well, it was Birkin who made that decision, but like what fucking researcher Umbrella was like, well, we need to prevent him from, I don't know why he sounds like Jimmy Stewart. Oh, we need to prevent him from transforming. And it was like, I have an idea. Put a fucking fedora on his head. Like, I don't know. It's just a weird decision.
It's like Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Don't bring that back up again. That was so stupid. That's what happens when Stefan drinks the night before.
Yeah.
Apparently.
I just have the image of Jimmy Stewart trying to like navigate Resident Evil in my head now, and it's truly funny.
No, this G-Virus sample, it's all wrong. It's all wrong, I tell you.
We've got to get out of Raccoon City.
Right. I think it's time to move on to
the fire's just coming.
Because I don't want to be a 3-hour podcast. We're getting close. All right.
It's a Nemesis.
Jesse, since you're our guest, do you want to go first for Shelf or Box?
It'll be exactly where my copy is sitting, on my shelf and digitally on my PS3. So yeah, keeping it because, like I said, it's Jill's finest hour. Even if her clothing doesn't really give her the dignity that comes with it, she gets to be full on badass, and it's her last time of being a badass till like the DLC for 5. So it's a worthy story. It's great, action packed, scary. Worth a playthrough today, and hopefully the remake will keep the spirit.
You mean you didn't think she was a badass in the regular Resident Evil 5 where she was sitting on your face to beat you up and wearing like a blue catsuit, and they're like, hey, what if Jill was just boobs on a stick?
Ripping open her cleavage, and that's the thing, you have to rip the thing off her tits. It's so dignified, Capcom. But we want
to play 5 again.
It's a real strong character arc,
Yeah.
I guess she was slightly handled slightly better than Boobs McGee, Wesker's secondhand woman in Resident Evil 5.
The Tricell.
Excella. Yeah.
I know that I'm fighting zombies and working for Wesker and creating all these BOWs, but god damn it, I'm not gonna wear a bra if it kills me. And it killed her.
What about you? Shelf or Box?
Who?
You?
Me? Oh, Shelf.
Okay.
What if that was all I said?
I mean, I can start calling you Bantha Stew if that helps.
Bantha Stew. What was that from? I can't remember.
Holiday special.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were making Bantha Stew, the Wookiees were.
Yeah, good times.
We recorded a lot of episodes.
Yeah. Something slightly insane. No, yeah, absolutely Shelf. It's, Shelf just because it's a Resident Evil game, but also because it does a lot of really cool things and a lot of really interesting things. The amount of tricks that go into like making Nemesis work as a threat and having that presence constantly looming over you, even if you understand the game, understand how it's structured to where you're like, I know Nemesis can't attack me here, you still have that kind of presence of he's going to come back. I know he's going to be a threat again. So it's beautifully crafted. The amount of story arcs that they were like practicing with and saying, what if you do this instead? Like, what if we went to the gas station instead of the other place? Like, it's an incredibly clever game. It was made by some very dedicated people, and it really shows. We didn't talk about the soundtrack, but the soundtrack is basically just even better Resident Evil music.
There was sound in this game? That's weird. When I played it, I just heard a podcast talking. The headphones are in, so I just have to hear zombies.
Good. Every time Mike makes this joke,
I had it on off and on. I didn't like it. I would just kind of turn. I mean, I had it on more than not, but there were a couple times where I'm just like, I'm good.
It's not a perfect game. There are some things that I wasn't a fan of. I didn't love Carlos as a character because he's meant to be cheesy, and that's fine. But then to have you play as him, it's like you need to give him a little bit more depth. And I imagine any of those complaints that I have are going to be fixed in the remake. It looks like so. I can't really complain about that too much. It's a great game.
Wait till you meet Steve again.
No, don't you dare say that name to me. Cool. Double Lugers.
It's coming.
Clear.
One of these days.
I'm just gonna have a headache that entire fucking playthrough. But yeah, it's an incredibly well made game, and I cannot wait for the remake. And it's absolutely going on my shelf. It's just phenomenal.
How about you, Stefan?
Yeah, I'll put it on the shelf. Jill Valentine, the first fictional character I fell in love with. Call me Jill.
Well, she's numbers, so she can't.
Yeah. Just break my heart, Steve.
If I can't get called by Rebecca, you can't get called by Jill. I'm just kidding. I had a crush on Songo from Inuyasha.
Songo?
Yeah, the boomerang chick from Inuyasha.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
She had a giant boomerang. She was awesome.
She is awesome.
But yeah, this is going on my shelf. Actually, going back, I never really played this game as much as the others, the first two. I don't know why either, because going back to it, I actually had an amazing time. Like, I played it twice in 1 week because I was like, damn, I just can't stop thinking about it. It's really good. And the whole Carlos thing, it's whatever. It was the 90s. I just like the fact that he gets some serious story beats, like when he goes to the hospital and he inoculates Jill, basically. So stuff like that. I mean, that's what I like about him. I don't really care that he's goofy. But other than that, yeah, on the shelf because Jill's a badass, and I love Resident Evil.
Yes, that has proven very true over this time of doing this podcast.
Is anyone really shocked?
No. Okay, I think it's my turn to go shelf or box. I'm going to throw a surprise one on here. This is going on the show. I really enjoyed it. I had a way better time than I ever expected to have with this game. I mean, yes, I didn't want to play it at multiple times throughout my playthrough. I'm like, I just didn't, because when it comes to games like this, I have to be in the right mood. Like if I get off of work or it's dark out, I don't want to play. I'm like, oh, what? You can't make me. I get uneasy. But if I'm like just woke up and I'm, it's morning, the sun's shining, I'm ready to go, and I try to beat it in moments like that. But I had a good time. Like it gives an easy mode. It gives you enough ammo, even if you're a scaredy cat like Emmanuel. This is a good horror game. I had to throw that in there. This is a good one to start with. Like it's not overly challenging, especially if you're using the save states. It gives you lots of options in this game with many weapons. You have way than enough ammo to get through everything this game is going to throw at you. And it was a good time. And it's not super long. I beat it in 5 hours. You could easily have beat it faster. I mean, Stefan beat it in 2 hours. But even if I would have been, playing more instead of reading what I'm supposed to do, I could have beat it faster too. Mm-hmm. But it's a fun game. I highly recommend it going on the shelf, and I will be telling people about it for many years to come.
I also want to say it's kind of unique that the hero has to work with the bad guys to escape the city.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
Oh, and for anyone who wants to hear our other Resident Evil episodes, Resident Evil 2 was episode 9 with Jesse on. You're good. And the Resident Evil Remake was episode 33. So if you want to hear more Resident Evil, there's also Operation Racoon City, is like 37 or 38 somewhere in there.
We also talked about the movie.
The animated movie, the first canon animated movie, Degeneration, is in there around that time also. So if you want more Resident Evil, we got tons of freaking backlog in here. So go look.
We didn't mention that, we kind of jumped right into this game. We didn't mention that. I mean, it reviewed exceedingly well. It got high 8s, 9s, even a couple 10s across the board.
Not surprised.
I'm not surprised either. What surprises me is people don't talk about it really. People talk about 1 and 2 all the time. It's rare that somebody brings up Resident Evil 3.
Isn't this near the end of the PS1 life cycle too, or when did PS2 come out?
Yeah, because it was 1999, and it's, PS2. I think it was like what 2000.
2000. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. North America, October 26, 2000. So this is the year right before.
It just got overshadowed, I guess. But
it was part of why Capcom initially was going to put all their eggs in the Dreamcast basket with,
how that goes.
Code Veronica. Semi-well till Code Veronica jumped to PS2.
It's a good system, I think. I just never played it ever.
I'm genuinely shocked that it's not talked about more, because it's like the amount that it does. I don't know. I don't know if I'd say it's a better game than Resident Evil 2, but I don't know that I would say it's not a better game than Resident Evil 2.
Its contribution to the series is kind of a quiet one, because like I said, it introduced a lot of mechanics into the game.
Background stuff.
Yeah, it introduced a lot of mechanics. It's a moment that's been revisited constantly through multiple games after this point. The Outbreak series and Umbrella Chronicles and Darkside Chronicles.
Destruction of Racoon City in general, yeah.
Because it's a pivotal thing. And I mean, culturally, that costume, Jill's costume, is considered iconic. I mean, most of the time when Capcom brings her out and stuff, usually they have the RE3 costume, like the Dead Rising 4 costume. It's Jill's RE3 outfit.
Yeah, it's honestly, my greatest hope for the remake coming out is that the remake comes out and it has that style of, like, it's not really RPG, but it's like faux RPG. It gives you the illusion of choice, I guess. Of like, okay, I mean, you are getting a choice, but it doesn't really affect the end game too much. Slightly,
I think it will. I have a good feeling that it will.
I'm hoping it does that. Well, I'm sure it will do that. But my biggest hope is that it does that, and then people will enjoy it, and Capcom will take notice. Because I think you could do a full-on RPG in like the Resident Evil universe, and it could be really cool. It'd be interesting to see that series go in a completely different direction. Like they tend to be, I don't want to call them all over the place, but they tend to be like testing different things right now, and everything is kind of working for them. So it'd be interesting to see them go on like a whole other path of, or even if they came out and they said like, oh, we're going to try to do games like Dead Aim again. We're going to try to do like the games that nobody liked. We're going to try to make them good. I'd be fine with that. I've said it a couple times, but like Capcom, as far as I'm concerned, they can kind of do whatever they want right now. They've nailed the last 3 remakes. Resident Evil 2 is just like the most successful remake of all time.
Mm-hmm.
They've done a lot of experiments and they've paid off. I do hope they've learned from some of their shortcomings in some places, because unfortunately I can't say 2 is a perfect remake. There's things it didn't do quite as well as its original predecessor. And now that I think about it, it does give me some concern for 3, and I'm hoping they don't half-ass that either in terms of like alternative choice and giving branching story paths, as opposed to like, no, it's locked in, this is the one path you get to follow, fuck you.
One thing you can't say about Capcom though is that like you can't say they don't take risks. Like they're willing to take the risk, and for the most part it's maybe not like huge risk, but they're willing to say like, we're gonna remake Resident Evil 2 and we're gonna do it in a completely different style, and it's gonna work. Like
they knew that was a calculated risk, because it's like they know fans have been dying for a remake of 2 ever since the remake of 1 came out. But it was kind of a thing of just knowing the timing and knowing what they were going to do, because there was a lot of controversial decisions right down to the camera style. Like everyone was like, no, it should be fixed like the original, and
everyone said, I remember that came out, people were like freaking out about it, that it wasn't a fixed camera angle. And then the second people played it, they were like, oh no, you're right, this is way better, this is the way to do this.
Like I wouldn't be mad if Resident Evil 8 was first person. I wouldn't be mad at all.
No, I would not. I mean, that'd be great. I mean, Resident Evil 7 was, and that was fantastic.
People freaked out about RE7 being first person, and they're like, this is not Resident Evil. I'm like, well, clearly you're ignoring everything else they just showed that it is Resident Evil, but okay.
Resident Evil 7 feels more like a Resident Evil game than like almost anything going back to like 2. It feels more Resident Evil than Resident Evil 3 in a lot of ways. I'm shocked at how they were able to accomplish that.
Yeah.
All right. Capcom knows what they're doing. Just like Capcom knew what they're doing.
They're on to something. Hopefully they don't fuck it up. Fingers crossed, because they have before.
They're not Konami. They're not Bethesda. Give them the benefit of the doubt. If they want to do something different,
that's not really a bar. That's the ground. That's below ground level.
If they come out and they say, "Okay, we're going to do something different," maybe so like, okay, like we're going to give you a chance. We're gonna give you the benefit of the doubt. This sounds weird, but this series.
Yeah,
like
they've earned some of that.
If Bethesda came out and they said, like, right now, we're going to make the next Elder Scrolls, everyone would be like, don't do it. Don't do it. Like, you have no idea what this series is right now. Capcom comes out and they say, we're remaking Resident Evil 4. People would be like, I don't know why, but yeah, okay. I trust you.
You're on par to make this episode longer than our remake at the rate we're going.
I know.
Let's just stop. I think we should call this a wrap up. Any last things you guys want to say before I start plugs? Outro and plugs?
I can only apologize to Mike for making this a long episode.
I knew it was. That's why I recorded earlier.
All I can do is say
sorry, not sorry.
The only thing I can do to explain myself is that it's Resident Evil and it's not 90 degrees outside for once, so it's actually kind of nice to just sit in my room without the fans on.
That's a good thing, because you're going to be doing a lot of that probably next couple of weeks. So
no, the fans will definitely be on.
No, I know, but sitting in your room.
Because despite the fact that it's actually quite chilly and nice today, it was 90 degrees yesterday. for a full day, it was 90 degrees, and then it dropped back down 40 degrees overnight. Virginia Beach.
But hey, are your beaches closed like they should be, or are they open like in Florida right now?
It's highly suggested you shouldn't go, and for the most part, people aren't going because, unlike Florida, people here in Virginia aren't fucking morons.
We do have some.
Sorry, Florida viewers or listeners.
No, I can't even blame Florida for that because it's not really Florida's fault. It's all the fucking idiots that are traveling to Florida that are like, oh, we can't get sick. We're young. It's like, yeah, you can't. Fucking morons are. Oh God, you all deserve fucking punch in the face.
Yeah.
Put on a hazmat suit and punch you on the fucking face.
I purposely waited to the very end of this to bring up the topical part of this podcast.
Yeah,
which very often. Any quick things you want to say before we wrap up? We should say that we are going to keep doing this. There will still be episodes, and we are all. We're all okay. Stefan's in Arizona with people trying to mug him for beer because it's Arizona.
Yes, this is in terms of danger. Stefan's just kind of like this is actually the coronavirus is like less dangerous than your normal life. I think so.
Yeah, probably. I mean,
no. I just want to say to everybody, like, why take necessary risks to catch the virus? Like, if you don't have to go to the store to get something, like you're like, oh, I just need this little thing. Like, just wait. Just
wait, stay home. If you don't need something, if you don't really, really need something, just work around it. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face. I will say,
stay home.
Yeah, stay home.
Toilet paper. Some asshole went to 10 different stores, and I went more than 10 different stores. And still only found it one time at a freaking gas station.
Yeah.
So, hey,
despite the fact that we kind of bungled the fact that we knew about this virus for a long time, but I'm really shocked by like how well everyone is doing now. It seems like I keep saying that like generally people seem to be more respectful of the service industry than they ever have been in the past.
They're all getting really raises.
Amazing to see.
Critical workers.
It looks like, I mean, not everybody obviously, but it looks like there's a good amount of companies out there that are paying people more for coming in.
Oh, and don't forget, we learned something very important during this. We learned that GameStop is an essential company.
Yeah,
GameStop world of fucked up views. They're
mad respect to all the mad respect to any GameStop clerk that had to work through all this. Big apologies to you guys.
They're closed now.
But yeah,
I'm really proud of that workshop that I am not joining right now, obviously, because I'm trying to stay home because of my situation. We've got somebody that's compromised in the house. But
two things I need to say real quick. One, are we getting close to having some shirts up? Maybe by the time Corona's gone.
Well, I'll be home for a while, so yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, hopefully the next few months we'll have more. Hopefully next month. I'm going to say April. We'll have concrete information about the shirts coming up. Hopefully.
What I need to do is now that I have a month off, we're trying to work around everything. Mm-hmm. I have time to just sit down and be like, what I need to do is I need to find a week and I need to sit down and I need to just work and work and work. And it's hard for me to do that if I don't have like a structure going on. So I just need to sit down and
kick my ass. That helps.
But that will now actually make it worse.
I know, so I don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all on me. If anyone's wondering why we don't have like shirts or something up, it's my fault. I just need to find a week and like kick my own ass and get to it, and hopefully I can do it sometime soon.
the rate 2020 going, we had Australia on fire, we had Kobe died, we have the corona, who knows what's coming in April. So hey,
it's been a stressful year, more so than I think any other year in the past, for just like general anxiety. So everyone needs to hang in there and drink some tea.
Yeah, last thing I want to say though, just again, people, don't be idiots. Don't go to the bar. Don't go to the beaches. Don't go public places. Stay home. Play a game like Resident Evil 3 coming out April 3rd.
Yeah, just ask yourself, like, before you do anything, just like look at the flatten the curve. Just ask yourself, will this help flatten the curve? Will it make it worse?
Yeah.
And I almost forgot, we should introduce what we're playing next week. Another topical game.
Yeah.
Which was not, this was all picked like months and months and months, like last year.
Again, we're just really unfortunate with this.
Steph, do you want to introduce what pick for next week?
If I'm remembering it correctly, we are playing the Sega or Super Nintendo game, Zombies Ate My Neighbors, which is going to be very fun.
Yeah, I disagree with that, but okay, I'll go with it.
It's going to be very fun. Mike's going to like it.
I've played bits of it before, and like is not the word that came out the last few times. But we'll see how this playthrough goes.
It's a classic.
Mm-hmm.
Do we know if our guest is going to be on that episode or not?
Have not heard from him yet since last time, but
that's
we followed up
thing that we should mention is just due to the nature of the show where we try to have like a different guest on every week. I don't know what everyone's situation is, so if we don't have guests on, that might happen, but regardless, we're gonna try to get an episode up no matter what every week.
Yep.
And or the rate I've been going. So
like literally, if me and Stu die of the coronavirus, I'm knocking on wood, Stu.
Word that I do.
Mike will literally replace us, so you're fine. You're always going to have an episode up.
As I mentioned, I've got backup plans if everyone else.
Funny how true that comment is.
I've got
honestly, my
plans to do an episode by myself in case something happens. Like, I've got backup plans for backup plans just in case. But we're gonna keep doing the show. Guests might change. Sometimes people might not be here depending on their situation. But no matter what, we're gonna keep trying to get the episodes out.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we're here for you, even though you don't pay us.
All right, and I think that about wraps up. I want to give an awesome shout out to our awesome intro and outro, courtesy of Paul B, aka Mike Stoney, from his EP Bite the Bullet. Song is a Cool Kid Squad. So definitely give him a check on his YouTube channel. Also, forgot to mention this earlier, I guested on another podcast called Laser Style. It is not out yet, but once it's out, I'll post a link in the Facebook page and the Facebook page only. So definitely take a look for that. It's called Laser Style. It is not on Stitcher, but if you Google it, you can find it. It's on some other podcast platforms. I'm sure it should be published in the next week or so. And I talk nothing about video games. I talk about religion and politics, which is just weird because we don't do that on the podcast.
Oh,
yeah, it's a strange one. It's good. It was fun, but it was not my normal type thing. All right. I think that this is getting on 2 hours and 45 minutes about before I edit this. So we are going to call this a night because I have to edit this tonight.
Yeah.
So I want to thank everyone for listening. Please go check out our earlier episode. We do tons of games, comics, movies. I started the MCU chronological watch through. It's going to take me years. Started Iron Man. That is up. So please go check that out. And we will see you guys next